What is up, everybody? JT Best Ball here for the nightcap. Happy 4th of July. I have my red, white, and blue shirt on. Do you have yours? We have a very special show for you tonight. I went and I brought in a very, very good friend of mine, known him for about 15 years. When I moved to St. Louis, got a job a week after I moved there, and we were box truck buddies delivering furniture for Rent-A-Center in the good old ghettos of St. Louis. We had a ball. We had fun. He knows nothing about best ball. He's a casual fantasy player, loves football, but never really stepped into the best ball world. So tonight, we're going to give him a quick rundown, and then we're going to let him draft a best ball team and see how it turns out. Let's hit the intro. It's a special one tonight, just for my boy.
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing. So cold, behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste and my mind starts peeling. I don't pace myself, I grind.
What is up, Neil? How are you doing, buddy?
How you doing, man?
Doing great. I had to put in there at the end the shot that killed Brad Lidge for the rest of his existence. He was lights out Lidge until Pujols turned the lights out on him.
He hit the ball to the train.
I still remember that damn game, man. I still remember that damn game. All right, buddy. So I've known you for years. I know that you know football. You've played in my league that I run forever, pretty much, I think, since day one when I created it 16 years ago.
Yes.
But you know nothing about best ball. So as far as I know, you tell me, what is your understanding coming into this of best ball?
Nothing.
Great. All right.
I'm being honest.
All right. So here's how it works. This is what we're gonna do tonight. They have this little contest called the Chihuahua. It's $4, We are going to be drafting a team against 12 other people, just like your typical, NFL regular fantasy football thing. You got a 12-person draft. The order is going to kind of snake. You'll see it on the board. I'll help walk you through it. The way it works is kind of like regular fantasy in that, we go for the playoffs in regular fantasy. You're trying to, win first or second or be one of those wild card teams and get into the playoffs in our league. Same thing here. Playoffs are week 15, 16, 17. The difference with best ball, two major things. For the first 14 weeks, we're going to be playing against the 12 other people or the 11 other people that's in our draft. All right. At the end of week 14, we just need this team to be top 2, just out of those 12 teams, the other 11 that we drafted with. If it's top 2 in points, what happens is we move on. In this particular tournament that we're going to do, we will then, for week 15, be placed in a random pod with 8 other people. And if we win that week, that single week, week 15, against 8 other people, we move on. The next week, same thing. We'll be placed in a new pod, total of 6 people. If we win that pod against the other 5 people, we move on to week 17, which is the finals. There will be 217 people in the finals. Just for making it, we'll at least win $100. If our team goes crazy in week 17, we could win all the way up to $30,000 in this particular tournament. So that's what we're going to do. If anybody in the chat wants to hop in it, we're going to hop in it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's what we do. If you're wondering, Neil, we kind of streamers count it down. So a lot of the people that's in our chat, I'll go through and try and catch up with them in a minute, say what's up to everybody. They like to hop in the drafts with us. It's a lot of fun and stuff that way. And there's a little bit of delay. Like what you're seeing is real time since you joined the stream. But if you were just watching it, it's about a 5-second delay or so. Mark, I am not getting my first Darnold share. That is the number one rule of my channel, Neil. We are not allowed to draft Sam Darnold.
That's fun. He was a Viking, so I'm good.
Neil is a huge Packer fan, if you could not tell by the intro. Had to throw together some old school for him. We might be taking Golden in the 4th round. Who knows? We'll see how it turns out. So see, this is how it works. I'll put it on the board for you. It's filled up. We ended up getting right here in the 9 spot in this one. And it takes about 30 seconds or so, and then the draft will start. Once it starts, you'll start seeing, names of players go down there. I'll kind of give you, a heads up. We go by ADP, just like the normal leagues would or whatever. And where we sit in the 9 spot, more than likely, your choices for your first pick are going to be between like CMC, Malik Neighbors, Ashton Genty, Amon St. Brown, all that good stuff, all those good players. We'll see who's there. Do you have any questions as we move through these first few rounds?
No, I think I think that's kind of
figure it out on the fly. I know that's
Let's
what we
do
said
it on
we
the
were
fly
going to
like
do.
we did in a
So
box truck, man. One more time again.
that's right. One more time again, throwing people's furniture down their wells. Those were the days. Those were the days. Watching dudes break their door down to try to fit a couch through.
Yeah, let's take down the trim when they rent a place. They don't own it.
All right, we're about to be on the clock, buddy. You got to think kind of quick. It's Malik Neighbors, Ashton Genty, Amon St. Brown, Nico Collins. Who you like?
St. Brown.
All right, we're going Amon with our first pick. And then over here on the right, as we get more players, I can move this little thing here up and down, and you'll kind of see, who we're getting. So the way it works, there's going to be a total of 18 players. And what we really want to try to do here, I won't get too much into there's certain things and strategies in best ball. We'll talk about those after we make this next pick, because then we'll have a little bit of time coming around. We're on that back end, so our picks do tend to come kind of quick. 2 picks away, and it's looking like you can see the top right there. Brian Thomas Jr., Drake London, AJ Brown, Ladd McConkey. Those are the top 4 players on the board. If you want to go elite tight end, this is about where Brock Bowers sometimes goes. Who you
like? Go Bowers.
Okay, he says elite tight end. Take the power play. I like it. I like your thinking. So far we went Amon St. Brown and Brock Bowers. So the way it works is we have to start each week a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex position. So just like a lot of your standard fantasy leagues. The beauty of best ball, and I don't know if you even knew this part about it, but one reason why we love it so much, one reason why we're able to just draft teams all summer long, once the NFL season starts, Underdog, the magnificent website that it is and company that it is going to automatically make our lineups for us each week. It's as each week goes on, let's say week 1, Sunday's here, the Thursday games already happened. If we have 3 quarterbacks on our team at the end of the week, whichever one of our 3 quarterbacks had the highest score, that's our quarterback for that week. If we have 5 running backs, whichever 2 of our 5 running backs have the highest 2 scores, it's going to automatically do all that. That's the beauty of best ball, whereas in a managed league, we have to make those tough decisions like, do I start, player A over player B this week? You don't have to do any of that in best ball. You just pick the players, try to construct the team the best way that you can, and then the system is going to, as the season goes on each week, automatically give us the best combination of players based upon what they actually did that week. Sound good?
Sounds good. I like it.
And that's part of the fun is you can take shots on, like guys that you would think, a classic spike week guy, like a guy I like taking kind of late in the draft is Leggett from the Panthers. Now, no, he's not going to do much some weeks, but me, myself, I think he's going to be the type of player. Let's switch over for you here because we're about to be on the
No,
clock.
do we take a quarterback here?
No, I mean, unless you want to
Right.
reach down for Lamar, I am okay taking Lamar anytime in the third round.
Okay.
So if you're going to take a quarterback, though, they're always the purple box. Lamar is the only one I would take, or we could go another receiver, Kyron
think?
Williams and Breece Hall. It's up to you, buddy. Who you like?
Give me Lamar.
Give him Lamar, he says. So we're going double elite onesies is what we call this. We have Lamar Jackson. We have Brock Bowers. Now, I'm going to help you out along the way because I know you don't understand, the construction aspect of it.
Yep.
And what would be really smart with this team, since you have your Lamar and you have your Bowers,
Yep.
don't draft any more quarterbacks or tight
Yep.
ends for a while. Eventually,
Yep.
we'll get like one more quarterback, one more tight end, keep both of those at 2. And
Yep.
so now we can just load up, on receivers and running backs.
Okay.
We have Mike Evans, Tet, the rookie in Carolina's on the board. Well, Tet just went. DJ
Right.
Moore's on the board.
What do you
Running
think?
back James Cook. It's up to you, buddy. This is your team. Who you
Let's
like?
go.
Evans, Moore, Cook, Metcalf.
Let's go Evans.
Nothing wrong with that. Mike Evans it is.
He's Mr. Reliable. I mean, my guy.
Mr. Reliable.
100 touchdowns now, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. And see, I was okay taking Lamar there for the simple reason that my fans know Lamar is my guy, the biggest my guy I have this year.
Now I would just like to introduce y'all to the man, the myth, the legend, the MVP front runner. If anybody else got to say something different about that, then come see me.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about, have your fucking cloud. It be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now.
He's probably the biggest my guy I have this year. I'm trying to get Lamar as much as I can this year. I think they're going to be just on an absolute mission. So I love that pick. Good pick.
Are you looking for a trade, him to go to the Texans or something?
No, I'm looking for him to win me a whole lot of money in best ball this year, though.
He will.
So, see, we're over here starting in the 5th round now. It's going to work back to us. But basically, that's what you, in my opinion, would be smart to do since we have Lamar and we have Bowers. We want to start getting us some running backs soon. We have 2 good receivers in Amon and Evans. I wouldn't force it like with this first pick, this next pick coming up. Like my general rule through the first 5 rounds is I'm taking whatever player I think is the best player that's going to get the most points to a certain extent in the first 5 rounds. Now, since I have a tight end and a quarterback already, I won't take 2 quarterbacks in the first 5 rounds. But outside of that, like for this pick, Flowers, if he stays there, would make a lot of sense from what we call a stacking perspective in best ball. I'll explain that to you more if we end up taking him or if we don't. So he's there if you want to do that. That's why he's kind of highlighted with this little tool I have. Or if you want to go running back, we can go Kamara. You want to go with the stack?
Let's go with Flowers.
All right. It sounds good. So we're on that short end. We'll make one more pick. And then while we wait for it to come around the other way, I'll kind of explain the whole, best ball craziness and theory behind why we love to stack players. And this specific tool that I have is called Best Ball Overlay. That's why certain things highlight and are colored. And like basically once you take your quarterback, then anytime that there's a player from the Ravens in this player pool over there, they're going to highlight that same color as Lamar. Just makes it kind of easy for you.
Yeah.
So as it comes back to us now, we can go Addison. He does have the suspension coming up. We don't want to go Burrow. Maybe if we want to grab our first running back, Kamara's there, Connor's there. Receiver-wise, it's Addison, Godwin, or Judy. Who do you like?
Go Kamara.
Kamara it is for our first running back. Got to get some kind of talent in the running back room. So basically what we like to do in best ball is, the old get less right theory is by putting, like, let's say a Mark Andrews and a Zay Flowers on the same team that we have Lamar. Okay, well, those games that Lamar goes off. Now, Lamar is a little bit different because he could go off and a lot of it be with his legs. But in the theory behind it is if a quarterback has a really big game, if he's throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, well, if you have a couple of his pass catchers on that team, they probably are some of the guys that had big games that helped him get that 320 yards and 3 touchdowns, so it's like you kind of get the 2 for 1. Burrow in the Cincinnati is a perfect example. If you have Chase and you have Burrow on the same team, well, anytime that Chase just goes absolutely nuts, there's a pretty good chance that Burrow had a really freaking good game also, right? So you kind of get the best of both worlds because what you find happens a lot in best ball is when we get to those playoff weeks, because it's all of the other teams that made it out of their pod, all the other teams that finished in the top 2, well, some of those same players that had amazing years that helped us get out of the pod, they also helped teams from other pods. So like in that little 9-person pod in week 15, we could very well be playing against some other teams that have some of the same players as us. And so that's where the more you can kind of correlate your team together, the better. Let's see what this guy does here. If he doesn't take them, I see what I think would probably be a pretty obvious click for you. You want to get your boy Golden?
Bring in the speed.
I mean, he's the top guy on the board, so
yeah, let's go.
Why not? As a 4th receiver, you got a discount on him too. That was pick 81. Generally, he goes right around 77. You're getting some nice discounts on this team, man. You got Flowers a few picks past ADP. You got Kamara a few picks past ADP. That's always a good thing. The more, we call it, getting good value on players whenever they're sliding like that. You can do what you want with this next pick. Since you have 4 receivers, the top receiver on the board is Ayuk, and he might miss a lot of time anyways, it sounds like. I would think about, if I was you, maybe grabbing one of these 4 running backs here. Go ahead and get you another starting running back, before they start drying up. And then your team is looking pretty dang good, man.
What do you think about running back?
Pollard and Aaron Jones or Brian Robinson? Who you like better?
Go Aaron Jones.
Got to go with the former Packer. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. We will take Aaron Jones. And like I said, we'll end up, we'll have some extra picks to work with. So we're going to pick a total of 18 players. This is just my recommendation to you with having Lamar and having Bowers, right? We spend a 2nd round and a 3rd round pick on those guys. We really need those guys to just absolutely be killing it this year. And so what I would recommend is let's keep the quarterback at just 2 total. Make sure that they don't have the same bye week as Lamar. Let's keep the tight end at just 2 tight ends. And then that gives you those extra picks. We could essentially end up with, like, say, 6 running backs and 8 receivers, or 7 running backs.
Are you talking
7
about
receivers.
going quarterback next pick? Then?
No. I would wait. That's what I was just saying. I mean, if you want to, you can. If there's a quarterback. So look here, I'll put it on quarterbacks. I'll tell you what I would do if this was me and I had Lamar Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
like just knowing you,
No.
a really good thing for you would be maybe around pick 127 or so. Maybe even we get him like a little early. We did take Golden already, right? So you could
Yep.
try to get like Jordan Love later. And then if you have a team with Lamar and Jordan Love as your quarterbacks, you're good. You know what I'm saying? Lamar, if this team, we want to build it like we're right, is what we always talk about in best
Mm-hmm.
ball. And if this team is doing good and it's going to make it to the playoffs for us, this team has to have Lamar dominating this year. It has to have Bowers dominating at tight end because we drafted them with our second and third round picks.
Okay.
So we want to probably kind of wait a while,
Oh yeah.
on them. So what do you want to do here? We could get back in the running back room again. I don't know how much you're up to date on the rookies, but like Scatabo is pretty nice. Or we could go with like Ramondre at running back. Some of the receivers on the board, we could get Bateman and pair him with Lamar. What do you like? Keon Coleman.
No, would that be too many though? Too many players from Baltimore.
All right. Well, we got Scatabo just because our time ran out on us. That's
all right.
why
Yeah,
that's okay. It's okay. I like Scatabo. So what I'm trying to do whenever it gets close to your pick
Yeah.
is I'm just trying to tell you, because ideally, just like when we do our home league draft in August, you want to kind of go off whoever's somewhat near the top of the board, the ADP, because there's no sense in reaching way down here to grab, say, like Eckler, because his ADP is 154 and we're right around pick 100. So let's start talking this one out. If you wanted to do like Bateman, that's totally fine, man. I mean, having just Flowers and Bateman, week 7, remember, we're going to end up with like 7 receivers, or if you wanted to maybe pair Andrews as our second tight end, that would be a super nice tight end room. I would maybe think about waiting, though, a little longer on tight end.
Mm-hmm.
But we could go like Bateman, Ramondre Stevenson if you want to grab another running back. Luther Burden, if you like him for Chicago. We got about 10 seconds.
Luther Burden, get him. Luther Burden.
You like Luther Burden? That's right.
Yep.
He's a Missouri
He's a Mizzou guy. Yeah.
Mizzou guy. There you go. Go get your guys, man.
And
have
then he's
fun
got a
with the
chip
draft.
on his shoulder because he went in the second round. So be good.
All right. Well, there he is. So far your team, we got some time now because we're on, that right side of the board. So we got to wait for it to come all the way around to us. Our team so far is Lamar, Kamara, Jones, and Scatteraboo. We have Amon St. Brown, Mike Evans. We paired Flowers with them. We have Golden and we have Burden and Brock Bowers at tight end. And see, you still have, like I said, you have 18 picks to work with. We still have all those picks, coming up. So you don't really have to rush. And like as far as bye weeks, we don't worry too much about it. The people that do, we kind of call them bye week bros, make fun of them. Because like right here, we got Golden and you just took Burden. Yeah, they're both on week 5 bye, but we're going to have more receivers. And already on week 5, we're still going to have Amon St. Brown, Mike Evans, Zay Flowers, plus at least 2 more receivers, and we'll just try to, you don't want to have like 4 of your receivers all with the same bye week. But if you have 2, maybe even a third one if they're really late, that's not really that big a deal at all. You can make up for that pretty easily.
All right.
But I gotta tell you, man, I'm for as much as I'm just letting you grab your guys, you're putting together a pretty nice little team. You're sticking, near the top of the ADP, which is kind of smart, Now see here, we're coming up at 129. Your boy Jordan Love went already, so we're gonna have to go with a different QB. So now we could start thinking. Go ahead.
Herbert.
You like her? Well, Herbert just went too. If we want to go QB here, we could go Lawrence or Stroud.
We go Stroud.
You want to go Stroud?
Yeah. I'll make you happy.
Nothing wrong with CJ Stroud. That pick will make me happy.
Yeah.
And see, it works out nice. And that's what I like to do, honestly, when I have Lamar, is take another quarterback from about Michael Penix up. So Penix, Lawrence, Stroud, Herbert. If we could have got Jordan Love, because we need Lamar killing it anyways for this team
Yeah.
to do good. We have 3 running backs, so eventually we want to get a couple more of those. I'm going to tell you something after this next pick about running backs too that I think is real important in best ball. So do you see any receivers? I'll put it on running back and receivers. We have the rookie Tootin. For running back, we have Mims, Hollywood Brown from Kansas City. We have Ray Davis, running back for Buffalo, Trey Benson, Rashard White, Cedric Tillman from Cleveland, the receiver. Those are some of the top guys on the board we're going to be choosing from. I would go if I was – go ahead.
Go ahead. What would you say?
I was just going to say I would choose a running back or a receiver here, just whichever one you like better.
What do you got for running backs real quick?
Tootin from the Jags. We got Ray Davis. We got Trey Benson.
Yeah, do that Tootin.
You like Tootin from the Jags?
Yeah. Let's go.
A lot of people like him. A lot of people are really into him. I'm not super into him myself, but hey, you know, that's why we talk about it on my stream all the time. That is the beauty of this game. Like, we spend, the people like me that are really into best ball, we will draft these teams all summer long, nonstop. And then, you know, we talk with each other. People come on my streams. We have player debates and stuff like that. But nobody really knows, right? Because the NFL is so crazy. It's not a managed league where we can, you know, drop somebody out of the lineup and add somebody off waivers. There's none of that, you know. You just got to get your guys. Now, what I like to do here, or what a lot of, and what might be good, is we got 4 running backs, right? So we have like Kamara, Jones, Scatterboo, we have Tootin. We definitely want at least one more. I would say with this team, probably 2 more. As far as how we construct it, I would say maybe like a 2, 6, 8 receivers and the 2 tight ends would be probably what I look to do. And one thing that I love to do, just to kind of keep in mind, I don't think we have to really rush to get 2 more running backs, because in best ball, because we don't have to worry about when we start and sit them, guys later on in the draft here, like Will Shipley and DJ Giddens and Jarquez Hunter and your boy Marshawn Lloyd in Green Bay, some of those guys that we think are going to be for sure the backup running back of our team, they actually have a lot of value to us, because, okay, we don't have to pick when we start them. So take Shipley, for instance. If we put Shipley essentially on the end of our bench on this team, if there's a 3-game stretch where Saquon's out because he rolled his ankle and he's out with a bad sprained ankle for 3 or 4 games, we now have Shipley that the system is going to automatically put in there if he has a good game as Eagles starting running back. But we're back on the clock here in just a second. We could grab another tight end now. Ferguson's the top guy on the board there. Or we could get your boy Dobbs in Green Bay is pretty high on the board.
Go Dobbs. I can't take a Cowboy. It's against my religion.
Against his religion. We got to get some Packers on this team too, though, right?
Yeah.
You know, now see, this is what we were talking about earlier. We have 6 receivers. I think it would make sense to end with 8 receivers on this team. And we do have 3 of them on a week 5 bye. So I would just make sure now that the next 2 receivers we take aren't a week 5 bye. And we'll probably, you know, end up being okay. When it gets back to us here, if you could stomach taking a Cowboy, Ferguson is actually falling a lot. His ADP is 144, and we'd be looking at pick 160. As much as you hate the Cowboys, he'd be a good pick there. We might be able to get him because the 2 guys in front of us already have 2 tight ends. Yeah, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, man. Yeah, I take Colts, I take Titans, I take Jaguars because, hey, we want to try and win a lot of money, so we'll put our fandom aside. And it doesn't happen all the time, you know. This is pick 160. Brock Bowers doesn't have the same bye week, we're getting about a 15 pick discount. He normally goes around 144. We just snagged him up as our second tight end with Bowers at pick 160. So
Nice.
you're definitely putting together a nice little team, my man. A nice little team. Lamar and Stroud at quarterback. Get off there. We have Kamara, Jones, Scat, Bayshaw, Tootin at our running back spots. Wide receiver spots, we have Brown, Evans, Zay Flowers, Golden, Burden, and Dobbs. Tight ends, Bowers, and Ferguson. So, I know I was trying to help you more so just with the roster construction. Like I said, if you want to take a third quarterback, it's probably dried up and there's not really anybody you'd want to take anyways. But me personally, that's how I would build it with Lamar and Bowers, just because you spent so much on them with the second and third round pick. You need them to really be killing it this year. So use those extra picks for more firepower at running back and receiver.
All right.
We got about 8 picks before it gets back to us. What you thinking so far, man?
This is
You
pretty
see
cool.
why?
I would have to play this.
Yeah. Hey, well, if you want to give it a try, man, let me know. I don't have a promo code of my own yet, but I have some pretty good friends that are streamers.
Does it seem like it's very expensive? It'd be fun to play.
No, and that's the great thing is like they have all kind of contests. This contest we're playing right now is $4, and if you put together a lineup that you got a little lucky with and it went all the way, just making the finals, you win $100. If you did really good in the finals, you could win up to $40,000, and sure, you might not be at that point where you want to play it all summer like us, but there's promo codes too. So like I could hook you up with one of my friends' promo codes and I think it's a 50% match or something like that. Since you've never played on Underdog, if you put $50 in, they'll give you $25 or something
Nice.
like that.
That'd be fun.
I don't have my own promo code, but if you're ever interested, I could get you one for sure.
Yeah.
So we are on the clock now. Do you like any of those receivers on the board, like Adam Thielen, Old Reliable, or Pierce, Wan'Dale Robinson? If we wanted to look at running backs, there's like Will Shipley, like I was talking about.
Yeah,
He's
Shipley.
a decent pick
Let's
here.
get him. Let's get Shipley.
And I like to do that a lot, and it's not just me. A lot of best ball people do that, because explaining my thinking to you earlier, it's like we don't need Shipley. The games that he's just sitting on the bench because Barkley's doing his thing, fine. We got Kamara, we got Aaron Jones, we got the rookie Scatterboo, we got Tootin. But hey, if he does get in there, especially because of an injury, now our team could really be something.
Yeah.
So let's see. We are at 5 running backs. Are there any receivers you like right there on the board?
What about?
There's like a.
What do you think
Go
about
ahead. We got
Pierce.
Alec Pierce. Yeah, we'll take him. See, he's a great best ball pick. Now just talking about it as though we were in our home league that me and you play in. Pierce is a guy that would drive you crazy, right? Because like his game is what? Catching those 4 passes and one of them went for a 60-yard touchdown this particular game. So it turned out to be a really good week, but you don't know when to start him. Again, that's the beauty of best ball is he's just going to be sitting down here on our bench. In that week that he does have a 5 catch for 80 yards and a touchdown, if he's one of our top 3 wide receiver scorers, he'll just automatically get put in our lineup for us.
That's
we
pretty
don't have
cool.
to manage it. We don't have to
do that in
do
our
nothing.
fantasy league coming up. Let's change the rules.
Just turn the league into a best ball.
Yeah.
We've converted him, chat. Neil is on board with some best ball. While it's coming back around to us, I'm going to try to catch up in my chat a little bit before I get too far behind. What's up, Who Hames? Good to see you stop by. At least you didn't post it in all caps. What's up, Bendels? What's up, Nick? Yes, we're having fun with it. My man Neil is doing better than I thought he would, to be honest with you. Favre was
was an
indeed an
animal.
animal. Mark, he was indeed an animal. Mark got in this draft with us, and see this is what's cool about streaming. Mark is like, I mean, Neil. Once people start watching your channel and stuff like that, they will. Well, I thought he was in this draft. He's actually not in this draft. Oh yeah, he is. He's there in the 4 hole. Mark used to play in our home league a while back, but he got out of it a few years ago. He just doesn't really like keeping up with the management part of it. He's a best ball guy now. He just wants to draft teams all summer, not have to worry about it during the regular season. So we have 2 picks left. I would suggest maybe one more running back and then one more wide receiver. This might be your only best ball team you draft. So there's another Packer sitting there at the top of
Yeah.
the board. Do you like
Yeah.
Marshawn Lloyd?
Yeah, get him.
I know you wanted to get some Packers. And when
Yeah.
this draft's over, I'm going to explain something to you that we like to do in best ball that we kind of did really well with this team without you even knowing it, just the way that it worked out. But we got one more pick left, so we'll make it. We're sitting with a 2-6-7-2. So I would just go ahead and take one more receiver. We can get by with that running back room. Kamara and Jones, we know are starters. Even if Scatterboo isn't the full-time starter, he's going to be in there. Let's see. You know what, man? If he stays, nobody wants to take him, and you keep getting some really big discounts tonight. We could
Hopkins.
go DeAndre Hopkins. I
Yeah.
mean, he's
Yeah.
15 picks, actually almost 20 picks past ADP.
Yeah.
If this guy doesn't take him, which that guy probably would rather take a 5th running back, I think. Just looking at his construction, he only has 4 running backs. You want to finish it off with Hopkins?
Yep, that's fine.
That's not bad, man. Hopkins in the 18th round. You can't argue with that. So here's how your team turned out. I think you drafted a hell of a team, to be honest with you. Chat, let him know what you think of his team. Other than helping him with construction and stuff like that, we let him go get his guys. Lamar Jackson, CJ Stroud at quarterback. That's a plenty good enough quarterback room. We have Kamara, Aaron Jones, Scatterboo, Rashad Tootin, Will Shipley, and Marshawn Lloyd as our running backs. Our wide receivers, the room's led by St. Brown and Mike Evans. We have Flowers, we have Golden, your boy Burden, we have Dobbs, we have Pierce, and we have Hopkins. We have the one, the only Brock Bowers and Jake Ferguson holding down the room. How you feel about the team, Mark? I mean, Neil?
I think it's pretty good for not knowing what I'm doing. I like the team. I do.
Yeah. So see, here is something that we did with this team that I know the chat recognizes it, what I'm about to talk about right off the top. So remember how when we first were talking about the format, and I was telling you it's kind of like our team, like our league, where the fantasy weeks are week 15 through 17. Well, just the way best ball is set up, though, like in this particular tournament, I believe it was like 1 of 9 or something like that in week 15. Okay, say we're there, we get out that pod, we're first in week 15 out of the 9 teams, we move on. We're first out of the 6 teams in week 16, and we move on. Well, the finals is where it gets bigger. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull it up on a different tab real quick just so I can see that final size again, and then because it'll make sense to you what I'm about to explain to you. So here is the tournament that we just drafted. It was this $4 tournament, and yeah, I was right. It's if we're the top 2, then in week 15 we move on and we're playing against 8 other people. If we win that week 15 against those 8, we move on to week 16 with 5 other people. If we win that week, we then move to where the big money's at in week 17. But the way it works is the final is 217 people, right? In week
Mhm.
17. So what the beauty of this team is that you actually did without even knowing it is in best ball, there's something called the bringbacks. We really try to when you can get it and still get your guys. You did it perfectly because I didn't even explain this to you before we started. I didn't want to overwhelm you. But when you can do what we did and still get the guys that you like, Green Bay plays Baltimore week 17. So hypothetically speaking, if this team goes to week 17, if we get in the finals with this team, if that Green Bay and Baltimore game goes like nuts, if it's remember what I told you about getting less right, that's why we like to stack players.
Mhm.
Well, with this team in week 17, we really are just hoping that Baltimore and Green Bay game is a high scoring game, because if it is, let's say that game's a 35-32 game. Well, we have Lamar Jackson in that game. We have him paired with Zay Flowers and DeAndre Hopkins in that game. But then on the other side, we have Marshawn Lloyd. Maybe Jacobs is hurt week 17 and Marshawn Lloyd's in there as the running back. We
Golden.
have your boy Golden. We have your boy Dobbs, So Baltimore, let's say whoever, if Green Bay's beating them, Baltimore is going to be throwing, Lamar is going to be running. If Baltimore is beating Green Bay, well, they're probably going to be passing it around to Golden and Dobbs, trying to catch up, trying to get back into the game. That is a really, really sweet team that you just built, man, for real, for that reason. Now, of course, we got to get there, and it might not get there, but we build the people who are really into best ball like me. We build so many of these damn teams that we call it building like we're right. With every team that we build, we know we're not going to make the finals with all of them. We'll be lucky if a few of our teams make the finals out of the few hundred that we draft. It's just the odds, right? But if we do put together that team that makes it through those playoff weeks and gets to week 17, we love to do things like you just did right there with the double stack and the three bringbacks from Green Bay. If that game goes nuts, this team has a real chance to be successful, my man.
I like it.
Mark thinks it was a good team.
Nice.
Neil's a natural. Welcome to the dark side. Yeah, I'm trying to convert him, man. I'm trying to convert him. What's up, Cody from Off the Snide? Good to see you in here, my man. But yeah, so what do you think, man? You liked it?
You did. It was fun. It was awesome.
Now let me ask you. I didn't ask you before we jumped on. How you doing time wise? You want to draft another team? You got to go or what?
No, we can do another team if you want.
Okay. Well, I'm a really show you something fun. Then chat. If y'all want to hop in it, we're gonna introduce Neil to the Eliminator.
Oh boy.
Does it sound intimidating, Neil?
No, it doesn't. But it's fine.
Now
Yeah.
look, this one, I like him. No, it doesn't. This tournament is very, very, very unique. So I'm gonna need to explain it to you a little bit before we draft it. All right.
Mhm.
I pulled it up so you can see it here. In this tournament, we don't want to worry necessarily all that, like, let's stack up as much as we can. We don't want to worry about that. What we're gonna worry about here is simply, for the most part, drafting the best players with each pick. And the one thing we want to focus on is within each position group, the running backs, or I mean the bye weeks, like with running backs, the bye weeks with quarterbacks, because it's called an eliminator, and this is the way it works. It's totally new contest. It's never been done this way before. It's going to be a lot of fun though. So we're drafting with 12 people, right? The very first week 1 of the NFL season, we just have to, in week 1, be 6 of 12. So we want our team right off the bat in week 1 to just be 50%, just be one of the top 6 teams that week in week 1. If we do that, we'll move on to week 2. And that's where for all of us, it gets really exciting the way they did it this year. Every week that you move on, they're just going to randomly match you up with somebody else head to head who also moved on from the previous week. And so essentially, if you make it out of week 1, It's just a head-to-head matchup against somebody as long as you can keep surviving. The first time you lose, you're out of it, you know. Now, the way the payouts on this one work, because it's so hard. I mean, if you just think about the math, literally week 1, half of the field is getting cut in half. All right. And so then with everything being head to head after that, essentially after week 2, going into week 3, we're already down to what, like 25% of the field, right? So the way the payouts work is if we made it all the way to week 17 somehow, you'd at least, there's only 3 people, you'd at least win 76,000, 100,000, or 200,000 up top. So you still do want to stack a little bit because like we call it a skinny stack. Like in the eliminator, I wouldn't do like we did on the last one necessarily, where you had a whole bunch of guys on a week 5 bye in your receiver room. Later buys are better, right? Like if you can pick players you like and they have like a week 10 bye week or a week 11 bye week, something like that, then that's even better because you don't have to worry about their bye weeks until late, right? If the team makes it all the way to, I think it's like week 11, you're winning $1,000. If it makes it to like week 12, I think it's like $2,000, you know. So because of how that head to head is set up and it kicks essentially half the people out each time, you don't have to make it to the end of the season to start winning some pretty decent money.
All right. Sounds good.
Sound fun?
Yes.
All right. You know what, chat? It might take a little bit of time to fill up, but just since, you know, Neil is new to this, the eliminator gives us the option. The last draft, we didn't have an option. We had to go with the 20-second clock. We're going to go with 30-second clock on the eliminator. It might take it a little bit to fill up, but we're going to jump in a 30-second eliminator. That way, me and my man have a little time to work through the picks. If it starts taking too long, we can hop out of it. Chat, you guys help me out. Jump in the 30-second eliminator. Get us some people in there so we can do a 30-second eliminator and we don't have to worry about the 20-second clock sneaking up on us. But we can chat in the meantime, Neil. It needs about 10 people. So sometimes a lot of people who draft a lot, we like the 20-second clock just because it goes quicker and we already kind of know who we like. We'll give it maybe about 5 minutes or so. And if it doesn't start filling up, then we'll hop out of that one and I'll hop us in the 20-second one and it'll probably fill up a lot quicker. But
all right. Yeah.
Any questions about this eliminator format I just explained to you?
No, it seems to be, well, the payout seems to be good if you can make it to the end.
Yeah, but it's harder, you know. That's what, like,
it's going to bounce you out too. So,
and it's hard if you think about it, you know. Every week that you go further and further, essentially you're playing against other teams that must have been constructed pretty well because they keep advancing too. You know, there's no like do-overs. Like you got to keep winning. Once starting week 2, if you only got to be top 6 the first week to move on, but then after that first week, everything's just head to head. They've had eliminators the last couple of years, but they were a little bit different. The way they did it in the past was more of a true like 50-50 type. It wasn't quite 50-50, but like 1 week it might be a group of like 8 and you had to be top 5, and then the next week it might be a group of 12 and you had to be like top 5 or 6 or something like that, to where each week you were in a decent sized pod, anywhere from like 8 to 10 people normally, and generally you had to be close to about 50% to move on. This year they just totally changed it up on us altogether, and a lot of people like me are pretty excited about it. It's a tournament that I plan on having a lot of teams in, because I think it's going to be really fun, and it's different than most of our best ball tournaments. You know, most of our best ball teams, chat, if you jumped in this 30-second one, I'm going to leave this draft and I'm going to go ahead and do the 20-second one. We'll make it work. Those 30-second ones, if you don't get in it and it's not like close to the end, you know, just needing a couple people, they can end up taking a while. 20-second eliminator chat. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The other one we would have just been sitting around too long. This one still needs 7, so there's still plenty of room for you guys to jump in. Even though we need 7, it'll fill up a lot quicker because more people pick those 20-second clocks. Talk to me about your Packers, Neil. What are they doing this year? I need some insider information. Who should I be drafting from them?
Well, I think Golden's going to be a burner. I think Golden. The problem with you know how it is. It's like each like Dobbs, they got him back on the right road with him not showing up. But I think you got a Kraft, which is a tight end. That is, you could get him. I think he'll have a good year, but they spread the ball around to so many different receivers too. That's one of the issues in fantasy because it's hard because they don't have one elite receiver. So, and they have the running back Jacobs. So we'll see if Golden and Lloyd was hurt last year. So we'll see if he can, do something at the running back position.
Yeah, for sure. And again though, that's the beauty. See how quick this one filled up. When we jumped in that last one, it was stuck on 10. This one we jumped in it and we were waiting on 7. Now we're already just waiting on 2. They fill these 20-second ones up really quick, man. But
how long has best ball been going on for?
And see, that's the thing. It's still somewhat new. So this is the 6th year of what they call BBM, which is that they have a tournament on here that you can win $2 million at if you finish first. Now it is. I'll show it to you after we do this eliminator. It is just the way it's set up. By far the hardest to actually get to the finals. And then if you get to the finals, you're still playing against like 300 something people, to try to get to the top. But hey, it's $2 million up top, like $1 million the second. And so that's kind of what we go off of. I don't know I'm sure there was some sort of best ball before that. Underdog is kind of the leader with best ball. Like I used to play on DraftKings, and as somebody who the last 2 years I played a lot on DraftKings, but now this year I'm playing a lot on Underdog. It's no comparison. If you are going to try best ball out, I highly recommend trying out Underdog. When this tournament's over, when we finish this eliminator before you hop off, I'll show you some of the different contests they have going right now because it is, it's something that you don't have to be crazy all summer like us. Now, I would recommend somebody like you, if you did want to try it out and just, spend maybe $25 of your money, $50 of your money, whatever, wait a little bit, wait till like the end of July, maybe like into August, once camp's going on, because more, right? We know for sure by then who all the backup running backs are. We know who's standing out in camp, who's getting in the doghouse and all that kind of stuff. There's a give and take when you're drafting earlier in the summer, like right now, and we've been drafting for months. Then if you study this stuff a lot, if you research this stuff a lot, like we do, you can really benefit too early by like picking players now that you think by like the end of the summer, their value is going to move up and their ADP is going to move up. Well, if we're drafting a bunch of those guys now and they start moving up, you can stop drafting them later in the summer and let everybody else draft them at a higher price. You packed your bags on them when they were cheaper earlier in the summer, so, but that's if you're kind of going to draft a whole lot of teams, what we call a volume drafter. Somebody like you that might want to just get into it for the first time, I would say kind of in August would be the sweet spot, once camp has been going on and preseason games are going on and you kind of know a lot more.
That sounds good.
It started up. A friend of my chat, Dirty P, he's in my chat room a lot. He's in the 11 hole. Mark is in the 8 hole. And see, that's what's fun about it for me streaming, at least, is, now that some people I'm not big yet, but now that some people are starting to know me, it's almost like I have a friends and family fantasy football draft every night, because almost every night guys like Mark and Dirty P and others are hopping in these drafts with me. So it just, turns into a lot of fun. Looking like for our first pick in the 7th round, it's probably going to be between Gibbs, CeeDee Lamb, and Christian McCaffrey. I will say we value running backs a little bit more than we do in the Eliminator. If you're
Gibbs.
in on CMC this year, or I'm okay with Lamb.
Yeah, McCaffrey.
All right, I clicked them just in time, and see, like I was talking about with bye weeks, he's got a week 14 bye, so that is like really nice too. We don't have to worry, other than health, we don't have to worry about him missing. The reason why I would value running backs more in this tournament than I would in like the type that we were drafting a minute ago, what we call the regular style tournaments, we're going 14 weeks against that same pot of 12. So in that one, we can be a little thinner at running back and wait for guys like Shipley to get in there because of an injury, or Lloyd to get in there because of an injury. But we explained, we walked through how this tournament is set up at the beginning, right? And the fact that like we got to be top 6 week 1 just to move on. And then after that, we got to win every week against another team head to head. So I definitely value running backs early. Like we want to make sure that we have 4 running backs on this team, at least, that are starting running backs, or maybe a backup like Eckler, who, even though he's not the starter, he's going to be in there. A guy like Spears in Tennessee, he's not the starter, but he's going to be in there some. But I would say for sure we want to have like 3 we feel really good about. And then just, still need that's the hard part, is we want to make sure that we're as good as we can be, of course, at every position. But just the way the eliminator set up, you definitely want to make sure you have enough running back power to get you some good running back points early. So you did right by taking – you did good by taking McCaffrey there. We're about 2 picks away. Some of the top guys on the board are Henry, Drake London, if we want to start receiver, Jonathan Taylor.
I go Henry.
Henry just went. You want to go Taylor for another running back?
Yeah.
And see, he also has a late bye week also. So see, now we're real nice right off the start. We don't have to rush. If the best player on the board when it gets to us in the 3rd round is a running back and you like him, then it is even fine to take a 3rd one in a row in the eliminator, in my opinion, because remember, we have a flex spot also. So like even if we have 3 really good running backs, essentially we can start 2 at running back, and that 3rd one can hit our flex. If there's not a running back that you love, maybe grabbing an elite quarterback, or maybe, starting to get our first receiver, something like that might work out. And we'll look at when we're done with this draft. I didn't do it in the last one because we got talking about some other stuff, but generally what we do is when this draft's over is we'll call our team out like we did on the last one. And then since Mark's been commenting in here in our chat, he says we sniped the McCaffrey pick from him.
Not happy.
And Dirty P, I talked about him. He comes and hangs out with us on stream. Both of those guys are in this draft with us. If you see their names up there, Mark's in the 8 hole right behind us. Dirty P is over there in the 11 hole. So when we're done, we'll look at their teams too, see what they kind of put together.
When is our regular draft? Is it in September?
Do what?
When is
no.
draft?
Yeah. I don't remember if it's the last day of August or the first day of September. It's that same Sunday that it always is, right before Labor Day.
All right.
Labor Day weekend, just like it always is.
Cool.
Now, see, coming back to us here, one of them might take Lamar or Garrett Wilson. Yeah, Lamar is gone. So it's basically out of, in my opinion, if Garrett Wilson is there, we could get our first receiver. If not, I would almost think about going with a third a third running back like Kyron, or we could reach down and get Jaden Daniels. He'd also be a nice pick there. We're on the clock though. What do you want? You want to do Garrett Wilson? You like him?
You want to go quarterback though?
We
Daniels?
can. You want to go Daniels?
Yeah, let's go Daniels.
All right, I got it in there quick. We almost missed it, but we got it in there. So Jaden Daniels,
12.
Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor. Now, see, just knowing how positionally this eliminator plays out, because we did take the 2 running backs there, and because we took the quarterback in the 3rd round, unless there's just a value we don't want to pass up on at, say, running back, with our next maybe 3 to 4 picks, or let's say 4 out of our next 5 picks, 4 out of our next 5 or 6 picks, we definitely want to like try to start getting some receivers. Yeah, because they're gonna start drying up pretty quick, where it's guys you don't really feel that good about like counting on and depending on.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see what comes around to us. Mark took Wilson since we passed on him. Dirty P over there in the 11 started with Puka, Achane, and Adams.
Puka. I love Puka if he stays healthy.
Yeah. Puka's a sweet pick.
I gotta look at my keepers too. When do we gotta do that? I gotta do that. I have to look at my
You
list.
got time. You know, we don't turn everything in that league until the week before. So basically towards the end of August. Like, see, it's coming back to us now, and
McLaren.
Hey, we got Daniel. So if we're not quite on the clock, so he might still go, but we could go McLaren if he's there, which he just went. But Mike Evans is still there.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Get Mike Evans if he.
Mike Evans, nothing wrong with that as a first pick. And see, I really like it when my eliminator teams go like this. Like, we haven't even really done it on purpose, but just the way it's worked out with the guys that we're taking, they all kind of have late bye weeks, which is sweet. You know, we don't have to worry about Daniels being out until week 11. Both of our running back bye weeks are 14 and 11. Mike Evans bye week is week 9. You know, so we don't even have to worry about, you know, it really sucks if you have a bunch of guys out in like week 5 and week 6 and week 7. Like, you start winning your money back in week 4, but like that's not what we're playing for. You know, we want to try to get pretty deep into this thing so that we can win some nice money. That is the goal.
Yes, it is.
Let's see here. At that 4-5 turn, Dirty P took Jalen Hurts. And see, quarterbacks, the elite quarterbacks, because of just how it's set up and needing to really, you know, get out of the first week, be the top 50 or whatever, and then win those head-to-heads. Running backs and quarterbacks, their ADP, it tends to be a little higher here in the eliminator versus regular ones. And so, like, now with it coming back on us, I would say receiver again. Take your pick between like J-Mo, Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley. Which one of those 3 you like?
Take Williams.
You like J-Mo?
Yeah.
Let's do it. J-Mo and Mike Evans in the receiver room. Their bye weeks don't overlap, so that is nice. What I do when I build the eliminators, once I get, you know, to like my 4th, 5th, 6th receiver, once I get to like my 4th, 5th running back, then I don't worry as much about if one of the bye weeks overlap. But like, especially with my first 3 running backs, maybe my first 4 receivers, I try my best in the eliminator specifically not to have them like kind of overlap too much.
Okay.
We'll probably just the way this team is working out. Another strategy that I like to do too is just wait when the eliminator kind of late and either take like 2 tight ends kind of later. You can get some decent tight ends pretty later because generally tight ends, and unless you have Bowers or McBride, which they're long gone, Kittle, he's gone probably already too. Unless you have one of those guys, your tight ends that you're going to start taking a little later, in general, tight end contributes the least amount of points to your team, right? And so,
Mhm.
like, sometimes what can be a good strategy is we call it just punting tight end, take you to just pretty good tight ends later in the draft and hope that they kind of, pan out for you and give you between the two, you can get something each week because then it allows you to just be a little stronger at your receiver and running back positions. And in this case, we took the elite quarterback, so that's nice. Um, I'll recommend something to you here as a third receiver if Mark doesn't take him. Let's see what Mark does. He did not. I think Jennings is a sweet pick in the eliminator if you want to
All
go
right.
with him
Yep. Yep.
because, I don't know how much you're into the news not being best ball. I know a lot of regular fantasy hasn't really gotten rolling yet. But like one, we already have McCaffrey, so we're already kind of wanting San Francisco to be really good. I know from just doing my research that San Francisco has like a really nice schedule, let's say like the first 6 weeks of the season. That is one thing I look at specifically for the eliminator, just because again, we want this team to get off to a good start and get rolling. And Brandon Ayuk is probably going to start the year not playing football. Some people think he might just be out a couple games with that knee injury. Some people think he's going to go on the PUP list and, you know, miss at least the 4 games, maybe 5 or 6. So, like, especially in the eliminator, Jennings early on is going to essentially it's like him and Pearsall. That's their 2 main receivers. So he's going to be on the field running all the routes. And he has that late bye week like we like. It doesn't overlap with any of our other receivers. So I personally think in the eliminator, if you can get him around his ADP, he's a really sweet pick.
Nice.
Now, if there's somebody you want to reach down for a little bit, we can. We're coming up at pick 79, and we're kind of right in the middle, so we don't really have any long runs. Our picks are going to be 79 and 80. So let's see what we could do here. What I would recommend is go ahead and grab a running back here,
Mhm.
just so we have a third. I like the rookie Judkins, Brian Robinson. We know it pairs kind of with Jaden, or another guy that I'm really in on. If it was me and you want my recommendations, I would go either Judkins or Jalen Warren with this pick. Probably Judkins is who I would lean if you like
Yeah.
him. You
Yeah.
into him?
Junkins. Yeah. Junkins.
I talk about it on my stream all the time. The reason I'm in on him is how is Cleveland going to be good this year, right? It's going to be, if they are good, if they are competitive, it is going to be because they have a pretty good defense. We don't know who's even starting at quarterback, but somebody will be there. And they have a few guys to choose from. So whoever's running the team the best. Stefanski, their coach, has always had a pretty good run scheme, and you have this guy that you drafted high who was actually a really good prospect coming out of Ohio State. So I definitely think he is going to have some big games. We got him at a little bit of a discount. We got him at pick 79 for our third running back behind McCaffrey and Taylor. And again, we have a flex, so like ideally a lot of weeks we hope that these 3 receivers or maybe who we take in a minute as our 4th receiver, between the 4 we get 3 good scores, and in a lot of weeks we can count on McCaffrey and Taylor and Judkins all hitting our lineup as 2 running backs and a flex.
Nice. My Cardinals gave up 8 homers today. in Chicago.
How are they doing? How are they doing this year, man? I haven't been keeping
They
up
did.
with
They were
basketball
doing
all this
better
summer.
until this week when they got swept by the Pirates and didn't score any runs. The worst team.
Are they
in.
like competitive this year though? Or are they
Yeah,
like
they
fighting
were
for the
actually
position, or-
coming up to this week. They're only 2.5 back, and now they can't hit
Okay.
the ball. Now they can't hit. It's weird. So
Okay. I'll be
nobody.
honest.
You know
Like,
what though? No one's showing up. Like no one. It's
I see on X, you know, I got a couple guys that I follow from the Houston sports radio station that, you know, I'll see like the scores of the Astros game. Now, we took one boy last time. Jaden Reed's a pretty sweet pick here. If
Yeah,
you want
let's
to get
get
you
him.
some Jaden Reed on this team,
Yeah, let's go.
I figured you would like that. So let's look at what we're doing here so far. You're building some good teams tonight, Neil. We got Daniels, which I'm helping you out a little bit with this one,
Yeah.
just because the Eliminator is a whole different beast. Have knowing kind of, you know, what you need or what we think we're gonna need. But you're picking your guys. I'm just helping you construction wise. We have Jaden Daniels at quarterback. We have hella running back room with McCaffrey, JT, and Judkins so far. And we still caught up a little bit at receiver. You know, we got Mike Evans, J-Mo, Jawan Jennings, your boy Jaden Reed, 4 nice receivers. None of, again, what I've been talking about for this eliminator, none of their bye weeks overlap, you know, so we're not going to have to worry about if we are continuing to advance week after week. We shouldn't hit any weeks where we really have, you know, a whole lot of guys out at once at a certain position. So that is nice. We can wait a little bit longer on quarterback, I think. See, there's not any really tight ends here. I would just pick, if I was you, the receiver or the running back with this next pick that you like better or that you like the best. There's like Rashid Shaheed, Cooper Kupp, Scatterboo, the rookie,
Get that
and Higgins.
Shaheed.
All right, we'll see if he holds. Right now, he's up there. And let's see, week 11, I think he works nice too, bye week wise. Still not any overlapping bye weeks. We will go ahead and grab him. That's our 5th receiver. We're catching up quite nice there, I think. Quite nice, my man.
No fireworks right now. I don't hear any.
Yeah, they were shooting them off right outside my window here in the office.
Dude, they went crazy when I walked
I
out
was
here.
kind of
It's like-
hoping they'd chill out a little bit because it was probably going to pick up on my mic. It was like my neighbors right there in the dang. Their driveway is like right next to my window in this office, and they were just pop, pop, pop going to town on them. Team's looking good though, Neil. You know, like I said, we'll get us some tight ends eventually. I'll go ahead and click everything, and we can kind of just see what's the top on the board. All we want to make sure with our quarterbacks is that the decision we'll have to make if we wanted in the eliminator, if we want to just have 2 quarterbacks, I would maybe think about, you know, getting somebody you feel really good about. That way, at least most weeks you have 2. Like, just for example, one thing we could do if we wanted to just keep it at 2 QBs is we could go Drake May here, just because he also adds a little bit of running. You know, he's going to be running around a little bit. Well, never mind. Mark just took Drake May. Maybe I shouldn't have talked about it with the sniper in front of us. We got to pick somebody, though. We're on the clock. Caleb Williams is there. What do you want to do?
Let's go. What about Jared Goff?
You like golf?
Yeah.
We'll go with golf. I got him in there. He pairs with J-Mo too, so that's kind of nice. Now,
he's got that.
We can go 2 options here. So like for me, if it's a regular tournament, meaning we're playing the week 1 through 14 against our same pod, and we're just trying to get to those 3 playoff weeks, I am almost 100% always 2 quarterbacks when I have like Jaden and Lamar and Allen. The
Mhm.
eliminator for me is the one exception. Like, I wouldn't necessarily go like super early, but like if it gets down here around like Stroud or Penix or even Bryce Young or Geno Smith, and there's nothing else that we like on the board, like I would think about potentially, taking a third QB
Okay.
just because it gives us more options. We don't have to force it, is what I'm saying. Like if we get one at a good value, there's nobody else on the board we like. Like with this next pick, I think we got a little flexibility. If there's a tight end you like, we can maybe take him. If they're basically running back or tight end or receiver, whoever you like the best. Christian Kirk's on the board, Ray Davis. Tight end wise, there's a rookie. I'm not that high on rookie tight ends in the eliminator format. There's the Burden guy that you like. He's there.
Get Burden. He's kind of down there though. Get Burden. He's at 5 though on his.
Yeah. Let's hold off on him.
Yeah,
Maybe like
yeah.
what do you think about what do you think
Kirk.
about Christian Kirk?
Kurt. You go
Because
Kirk.
if you really like Burden, I wanted to talk to you a little more because he might come back around to us
Mhm.
here. Because some people are, again, with it being the eliminator,
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard the news, but like during OTAs, he kind of had some soft tissue stuff going on, and he wasn't really practicing during OTAs, which hopefully he's fine for training camp. But the
Mhm.
point to it is that he's falling sometimes. Like his ADP is 133. So there's a chance that like he might come back to us and we might be able to like pick
Okay.
him up here in just a little bit. Like, see, I would say if he comes back to us and you still want to go with him since he's your boy, taking him at 138 after we took Kirk, who's going to be out there running routes for the Texans for sure week 1, that wouldn't be a bad move. That would he'd be our 7th receiver. So, even if he starts off a little slow, which he just went, so he's not an option anymore. We only have 3 running backs. It might be kind of smart to go ahead and get another running back here.
Yeah.
Like Eckler is the top guy on the board, or if you like the rookie in Dallas, Jaden Blue, I'd probably go with one of those 2.
Let's go. Oh God, it's against me. Let's go Jaden Blue.
Or we can wait one more time. Is there any
Let's
tight
wait.
ends here you like? You don't like Ferguson though.
If he's out there, we can get him.
I got Blue in just in time
Okay.
because
All right.
we were about to run out of time. He's our 4th running back, so I think he's a pretty decent pick on this particular team because when he hits for Dallas, he's probably going to hit with like, a big game where he had maybe a couple explosive runs. And we don't necessarily need him to hit every week because we have the other 3 in front of him. Our other 3 running backs have late bye weeks. So, even if it took, let's say it takes 4 or 5 weeks for Jaden Blue to really, carve out his role with Dallas as a rookie. Well, we got 3 other guys ahead of him that we feel good about. We can maybe, I guess, what do you want to do at quarterback? Do you want to just keep it at 2 quarterbacks and hope that Jaden's hitting all year, and when Jaden's not hitting, Goff gives us a big game?
What do you think? What about Cam? What do you think Cam Ward's going to do anything?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like Cam Ward a little bit.
I don't know. What do you think? 3
If I was
quarterback. Go ahead.
If I was to take a 3rd quarterback on here, that would definitely be the guy that I went after. We could wait and see if he comes back to us. Let's do it this way. Let's see if there's any receivers or running backs that jump out at us here.
Good
We could
job.
go ahead and take what might be our last receiver, like Adam Thielen,
Yeah, that's
because
fine.
especially early on, he's going to be involved a lot in their offense. And then see if Cam Ward comes back to us. That's the good thing about having like a Jaden Daniels in golf. And that's what I was talking about earlier. By like, we don't have to push it, right? Like, if we get a good little discount on Ward and he comes back to us, great. If not, we can get by, I think, with having these two because Jaden's bye week is week 12. So like essentially up until week 8, we're gonna have 2 quarterbacks as an option. If we get to week 8, we're already a little bit into the money and winning something, and then we still have Jaden going in week 8. So there's a chance there for that. I think that was probably the smarter way to play it, in my opinion, was go ahead and take Thielen. He's our 7th receiver, and our receiver room is looking pretty dang good. So we can probably just be done with those 7 between like Evans and J-Mo and Jennings and Reed and Shaheed and Kirk and Thielen. I would say let's just be done.
Right.
Cam Ward did go, so we could think about maybe Geno has a week 8 bye. I would honestly just leave this team
Mm-hmm.
unless we get down to the end or something and we wanted to take a shot on like a Daniel Jones or Tyler Shook, since we do have Rashid Shaheed. Let me switch over here. We're on the clock. I didn't realize we were on the clock. Let's just grab us a running back. You think Roschon Johnson can carve out a role in Chicago?
Yeah, let's go. That's another team I should never draft from, the Bears. That's fine.
Hey, we just took Burden last round.
I know.
Our last draft.
Yeah, it's true.
He was just the top running back on the board, and we kind of needed to probably take a running back there, and we were running out of time. We'll do a little bit better job this time. We can start thinking about our first tight end. Let's see. When it gets back to us, we'll be at pick 175. Mark is on the backside of us this time, so I'm okay talking about the names that he wants to try to steal, maybe. But we could go with Zach Ertz, since we have Jaden.
Yeah.
That'll
Yeah.
kind of be right at his ADP if we can get him to come to us. And, if that's what I was talking about earlier. Let's say, hypothetically, he comes to us and we get Zach Ertz, and then we wait a little bit, maybe get a guy like Jawan Johnson or, Chig, Jatavian Sanders. Those two, between the two of them, hopefully, we can get something, 8, 9 points at least each week from just one of them, whichever one of them does something. If we can get, the way we're building this team, if we can get 8 to 10 points average most weeks from the tight end spot, I think we'll be all right, because Jaden should give us some good points. Golf will have a few spike weeks here and there. When he does, hopefully it's him throwing to J-Mo, which Ertz went. So I don't know. Maybe we can wait even a little later now on tight end, unless you like any of those guys.
No, we can wait. I know.
The problem is it's kind of getting to that area.
Yep. Yeah.
Let's let me see here. You want to go maybe like DeAndre Hopkins? Well, no, we don't really need a receiver. Let's just take a tight end. Who you like the best here?
Who you got?
You want to go maybe like Chig or the rookie in I'm just going to click somebody. We almost ran out of time.
Yeah, that's fine.
I give us the rookie Mason Taylor from New York. Hopefully he does something. We were running out of time. I didn't really want to take another receiver for us.
Yeah.
And I didn't really like anything that was out there in the running back position. The good news is we can actually go ahead, I think, and probably do like maybe like a 2-6 7-3, we'll finish with like 7 receivers, 6 running backs. Since we kind of decided we wanted to just keep it with Jaden Daniels and Goff, and since we waited so late to take our first tight end, we can go ahead and make it a 3 tight end team, and then that just gives us one extra guy. Generally what I do in the eliminator is either or. Like very not too often will I take 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends, because you can only start one from each position, right? And so it's just like it just really, in my opinion, for the eliminator, puts you a little too short at running back and receiver. But
Yep.
since someone took Cam Ward, and we kind of made that decision that we wanted to stick with just Jaden and Goff, that'll free us up here in a minute to take another one. Let's go ahead and grab our last running back. Jarquez Hunter's there, or do you want to throw your boy Lloyd on there again?
Yeah, put Lloyd on there.
And see, like that I'm okay with. We have 2 running backs that have a week 5 bye, but it was our last 2, right? In week 5, Roschon and Lloyd, no biggie. We got that covered with CMC, Taylor, Judkins, and Blue. Like what you really don't want is to have like 2 other guys up here, to have
your
kind
higher
of
ones.
overlapping bye. And so now we'll just have 2 picks left. We'll just take the best 2 tight ends that are on the board, and our team will basically be Jaden Blue and Goff at quarterback, running backs of CMC, Taylor, Judkins, Blue, Roschon, Lloyd, wide receiver room of Evans, J-Mo, Jawan Jennings, Jaden Reed, Rashid Shaheed, Christian Kirk, and Adam Thielen. Tight ends is Mason Taylor and whatever 2 we draft next. And just, I kind of knew the board, I know where everybody's ADP is and stuff. And that's why I was saying, especially in eliminator, if you didn't get like a Bowers or you didn't get like a McBride, something like that, which myself, I'm not really that into McBride where he goes, but I know that the last couple of rounds you can get very serviceable starting tight ends. They're nothing to get excited about. They're Dalton Schultz and Jawan Johnson and Jatavian Sanders, but they're guys that are going to be out there running routes for their team. Hopefully each week we get lucky and one of them gets in the end zone and gives us a decent little score.
Nice.
So our tight end we have has a week 9 bye. So any of these guys at the top, we can go with Freiermuth from Pittsburgh, Chig
Let's
from
go
Tennessee.
Chig.
I like some Chig too. He's got a way better quarterback this year in Cam Ward than they've had in the past. And now same thing when it comes back around to us. Mark will be on the backside of us. So unless he takes a tight end here, I don't really want to talk about the names. We'll wait and see what he does. He took Darren Waller, so now we can talk about it, I think. Let me see. Well, we'll wait one more time. That's the only bad thing, or not bad thing, but just when you're streaming and you have guys like Mark and Dirty P in the draft who are also watching the stream and in the chat and stuff, and you have a guest on, we just got to kind of, be smart of what picks we sometimes talk about and stuff, because they will snipe you. They will grab. He just took Keenan Allen at receiver. He's going with the true punt tight end, unless he had an elite tight end. I don't remember who he had as his first tight end. Yeah, see, he did a true punt tight end. He's got Mark Andrews as his first. He'll probably take a second tight end here, I would imagine. And then when this one's over, before you get out of here, we'll look at the team, see what we did, see what Mark did. You can see how they build their teams. And then I'll run through some of the different tournaments, man, because you would be surprised. Underdog has a flavor for everybody. They have so many different contests that are all kind of unique. So it's about to be on us. Take your pick. Do you like Fryermuth, Dalton Schultz,
Let's
Jatavion
take your
Sanders?
boy Dalton Schultz.
Oh no, I hate Dalton Schultz.
You
Don't
do?
pick him just because he's my boy. Yes, I can't stand him. If
He
it was
bad?
me, I would probably go like
Yeah.
Jatavion Sanders or
All right,
Fryermuth.
let's go Jatavian Sanders. You don't like Schultz, huh?
I do not like Schultz at all. So here's my thing with Schultz, and my chat knows this. I talk about it all the time. I mean, he could catch the ball. The thing that I don't like about him is, especially last year, I guess maybe him knowing he had a role and knowing he had a couple-year contract. He was the least physical tight end I've ever seen in my damn life. I mean, just half-ass with all of his blocks. Just will go almost out of his way to not block somebody before he will block somebody. Think of how George Kittle plays, the
Mhm.
exact opposite of George Kittle.
Yeah, he loves
How
it. George
Kittle's out
Kittle
there
loves
like
hitting people, though.
yeah, how he's out there just running around looking for somebody to hit.
Hmm.
Schultz is running around trying to not hit somebody.
It's true.
So here's what we'd like to do at the end. We call out numbers, and it's just like the roster construction. Maybe people are listening but not really watching it or whatever. We went with the 2-6-7-3. Means we have the 2 quarterbacks, 6 running backs, 7 receivers, 3 tight ends. Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff. Running backs are McCaffrey, Taylor, Judkins, Blue, Roschon Johnson, and Lloyd. I like our running back room. I really do, Neil, because like we have these 2 guys that's power in the team. We're gonna go as far as Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor take us, but then we also have Judkins, who I think can be a really good player for us. And then Blue, he might give us a spike week here or there. Maybe we get lucky with Roschon. If Roschon gets that David Montgomery role, it's either going to the way I think Chicago is going to play out in their running back room is Swift is going to kind of be the Gibbs, right? He's going to do a lot of because Ben Johnson is there, the old Lions OC, and either Roschon or this other guy named Manungai, who's kind of a young player they have. If whichever one of those 2 end up kind of earning that Demont role that Detroit had, your kind of short yardage, but more importantly, goal line. If Roschon can earn that, he is going to be an amazing pick where he goes in the 160s because he is also their best pass blocker. And so, like, even if Swift has the Gibbs role as far as the one they're trying to get big explosive runs to and purposely trying to get like some passes to, if it's like 3rd and 8, if it's 3rd and 10 or something like that, even 3rd and 5, Roschon's going to be in there on a lot of third downs. Roschon is going to be in there on a lot of 2-minute warnings, I think, or 2-minute type drives because he's in their best pass blocker by far. He's probably, unless the Monungai guy can overtake him, he's probably their best goal line back also, so he could turn out to be a really nice pick for us. And then Lloyd is just our upside, like he probably doesn't hit our lineup many weeks as long as Jacobs is healthy. But hey, not wishing injury on any of your Packers, but if Jacobs, if he rolls his ankle and he misses a couple games, well, we probably have the starting Green Bay running back at least for those few games. Receiver room: Mike Evans, J-Mo, Jennings, Reed, Shaheed, Christian Kirk, Adam Thielen. I think that's a really good receiver room myself right there. All of our guys, like even our last 2, Kirk and Thielen, they're going to be out there running routes for their teams right away, involved in the offense from day one. Rashid Shaheed's going to be a big spike week guy for us. We know what we're getting with Evans. We know what we're getting with J-Mo. I think Jennings is going to, other than Kittle, Jennings is out of the receivers. I think Jennings is going to be the number 1 kind of to start the year for him. Tight end room, that's what I was talking about. We just need points. If we can get 8 to 12 points from one of these three each week. The good news is the earliest bye we have in the tight end room is week 9. So essentially, for a lot of the tournament until we get kicked out, we're going to have 3 chances at getting that 10 to 12 point score from one of our 3 tight ends. We just need one of them to do it. Let's go look at Mark's team and see what he did over there. I think he was picking from the 8 hole. He went with the 3-6-6-3. He took Fields, Bo Nix, and Drake May. Really, really nice quarterback room. All 3 guys run around a little bit, so definitely a really nice QB room. All 3 of them also have late bye weeks, so that's even better. He should be really strong there. Derrick Henry, Chuba, RJ Harvey, Ray Davis, Rico Dowdle, Kendre Miller at running back. I think he'll be okay. I mean, he's got Henry holding it down. Between RJ Harvey and Chuba, he should be able to get, a good score out of one of those at least each week. Davis is a backup, but he'll be involved. He kind of did an interesting thing here with Carolina. I don't know if I love only having 6 running backs and both of them being the Carolina backs, but I guess if either one of them gets hurt, then the other one is probably for sure a smash. Receiver room, let's see how strong it is to help make up. Yeah, it's pretty nice. A lot of them have late bye weeks. CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, Diggs, Marvin Mims, Pat Bryant. He does have 3 guys that are out in week 12, but the later they are, the less I worry about it myself. Because I'm pretty sure it's $2,000 if you made it to week 12, or maybe it's just 1,000. I think it's 1,000 in week 12. Either way, if this team makes it to week 12 and he wins $1,000 and he gets kicked out because he had 3 receivers on the same bye week, I'm sure he'll be okay with that. He'll take his $1,000 and move on. And by that point, who knows? You might be up against another team who has a lot of week 12 buys. It's only one other person that he's playing. Maybe one of his quarterbacks go nuts and Henry goes nuts and Chuba has a good game. So he could still win that week. His top 2 receivers aren't on buys that week. And then at tight end, he had Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Darren Waller, who just came out of retirement.
That's what I
retired
thought.
from
I
the
thought he
back game.
retired.
He did. You didn't hear that news, though?
What? I thought he retired, but then he
He
said
did retire. He plays for the Dolphins. So, see, you're not plugged in like all the sickos are. We call it touching grass. That's what you do. You go out and have a good time and spend time with your family and, go to the park and all that shit. We just sit here and read Twitter about NFL all day and then draft best ball teams.
I'm usually not going to the park. I'm usually killing bugs, man. That's what I'm doing. So,
but so Miami, they had that Jonnu Smith tight end who was pretty good for him last year, and they just up and traded him to Pittsburgh last week. And then they turned around and they got Darren Waller from the Giants. Still had his rights, and they traded him. They traded him nothing, basically a late round pick just to have Darren Waller's rights. And yeah, he unretired and he is going to be a Miami Dolphin. So of course we are drafting him now in the 17th or 18th round of best ball tournaments because hey, what if he's the old Darren Waller, right?
true.
He hasn't been good on a football field in 4 years, but there's always that what if. Let's see what my friend Dirty P did over there. 3-6-7-2. Jalen Hurts, Penix, and Matthew Stafford. Running backs is Achane, Connor, Swift, Jalen Warren, Tootin, Miles Sanders. Quarterback room is really good. Again, he's got Hurts. The games that Hurts kind of slacks off. He has Penix and Stafford. Does he have Stafford stacked? Yep. Oh yeah. So he did something really interesting here. He did the double Rams thing in an eliminator. He doesn't have any other week 8 bye weeks for the receivers. let's look at it. Puka, Adams, Mooney, Higgins, Dobbs, Slayton, Keenan Allen. See, and this is what, remember when I was telling you, if someone like you who, okay, if you decide to play best ball or whatever, you're only going to spend 25, 50 bucks, something really small, then I would recommend waiting, sometime in August once camps going, camps are over, preseason games are going, because you're going to know more, right? You don't got to worry about as much of people getting hurt during the preseason and that stuff. But on the opposite side, if you ever get to the point where you're drafting more and more teams, the advantage to drafting early now. So like Keenan Allen hasn't signed yet. Keenan Allen last year played for the Chicago Bears. He was there with DJ Moore, and he was there with DJ Moore, and he was there with the rookie Rome Odunze. And essentially he was probably their best receiver, right? But yet, because right now we don't know 100% sure he's going to play football because he hasn't signed with anybody, he's a bet that I'm definitely willing to make right now, because we are taking him way back here in the 17th round against guys like Lockett, who we think is washed, Jalen Noel, who needs an injury and for the Texans to get on the field, Naylor, who is third best receiver on his team, and he's got to worry about Hockenson getting targets. Whereas wherever Keenan Allen signs, within a week of Keenan Allen signing, which probably will be here in the next few weeks as camp gets started, within a week, he is going to move up, in my opinion. At least within a week or two, he'll be up here, at least in the 14th round. I mean, wherever he signs, he's probably going to sign somewhere that he thinks he has a pretty decent role right with. I'm taking, people are going to take Keenan Allen over Demario Douglas, over Wan'Dale Robinson, probably over over Dobbs. I think he'll end up right in here somewhere, maybe around Thielen, the rookie Kyle Williams, just because we love our rookies in best ball. So yeah, that's the advantage to drafting now, is you can get a whole lot of Keenan Allen really cheap in the 17th round. And then if you're right and he signs and he moves up a lot, well, you got a guy a lot earlier in the summer you were drafted in the 17th round who should have all along been going in like the 14th round or 13th round. But let me finish looking at this team real quick. Andrews and Johnson. You know what, Dirty P? I saw your comment over there. Where was it? Something stinks at the end of this board, and I think it may be my team. I'm going to argue against that. You know what? I think what you did with this team is actually really smart, in my opinion. And let me talk through this for you, my man. Yes, it is kind of, risky having the Puka thing, but like, how does Matthew Stafford help you win a lot of money in the eliminator? It's because Matthew Stafford, he's not running at all. He's killing it through the air. The Rams are killing it through the air, in which case you have Puka and you have Adams. Get to week 8 first, then we'll worry about week 8, right? But early on, you got Hurts, who can give you a good score. You got Matthew Stafford, who can hopefully be lighting it up with Puka and Devontae. You got Penix stacked up with Mooney to take advantage of that. You don't have any Philly receivers, but you don't need any Philly receivers. I talked about it before on my stream. James Conner, if you look at Arizona's first 6 games, they're like the Tennessees, New Orleans, and Panthers of the world, all teams that like having a running back going against them sounds really, really nice for that running back. So you have Achane, you have Connor, who has a great matchup. You have DeAndre Swift. You have Jaylen Warren, who's going to be involved. You have the rookie Tootin. Past your Puka and Adams, you have Mooney, you have Higgins, you have Dobbs. You have all receivers that's going to be involved. And I really, really, really love that you threw Keenan Allen on as your last pick, because guess what? Whoever Keenan Allen signs with, by the time we get to week 8, Keenan Allen's going to be a mainstay for sure on that team. So it's almost now like you'll have Keenan Allen in a good role with Mooney, with Higgins, with Dobbs to help get you through that week 8. I actually like that team a lot, Dirty P. I think it is really, really, really sneaky good. But yeah, so what do you think, Neil? You having
It was
fun, my
fun.
man?
It was fun. I like it.
All right. Well, here before you hop out of here, I told you I'd walk you through. So that was the eliminator we just did. We explained how it was set up. It's $10 to enter. It's what we call probably one of their more medium price tournaments. The one you'll hear most people talking about. You were asking me how long best ball's been going on, and this is kind of what we judge it off of. This is the big boy here. It's 672,000 people total that'll be in the tournament. It's called Best Ball Mania. It's $25 to enter it, so it is the most expensive or one of the more expensive ones. But the payouts, so like you can win $2 million for first, $1 million for second, $500,000 for third. If you just make the finals is like three. Let me find it. The finals is right here. 539 people are going to be in the finals week 17. But if you just make the finals, you're making $3,750 off of it. But the downside to it, I actually myself don't play a whole lot of these BBMs. I do some of them, like if I have a guest, another streamer come on my stream and we're streaming together, then sometimes we'll do a BBM. But it's just it's such a tough tournament, like the first part is just like all the rest. You're in your pot of 12. You just have to be 2 of 12 after week 14. But that's when it just turns into a freaking gauntlet. In week 15, if you make it out of your pod, in week 15, you're in a random pod of 13, which is a kind of high number. And then you have to win that 1 week, week 15, against 12 other random people. Your team has to finish the best to move on. If you do that, it gets even tougher. Week 16, you're in a pot of 16. So then you got to beat 15 other people just in that week 16 games. And then if you do that, you move on to the final, the 539 people. But for somebody like you, they have all kind of great cheap contests too. Like this here, Chihuahua, that's the one we just played in. You can jump in it for $4 and your advance rates are a lot better. Like everything other than the eliminator pretty much is 2 of 12. That's always the start, just like the regular fantasy league we play in, weeks 1 through 14. At the end of week 14, be top 2, and that the pod is the people we drafted with. So out of the 12 people in your total people in the draft, you be top 2, and then you'll move on to week 15, where instead of those really high numbers in this particular one, it's 1 of 9. You just got to finish best of 9. Week 16, you got to be 1 of 6. The final smaller too. You're only competing against 216 other people to try to win it all. Another good one they have out right now is this one here. This would be a good one for someone like you. It's $8, but again, it's a smaller field tournament to where, like, if you finish 2 of 12 after those first 14 weeks, then your next pod is only going to be a total of 5 people. Beat 4 other people. That's pretty reasonable, right?
Yep,
And then if you beat 4 other people, you're going to be in a random pod of 6. Again, beat 5 other people. That's reasonable. You could have a team that's doing good and do that. So if you make it out of that 1 of 5, 1 of 6, you'd be in a finals with only 156 people. You would be looking at a minimum of $300 for making the finals. And if your team did really well, you could win like $30,000, $20,000, $15,000, So I definitely think it's a game that, like, if you play fantasy football and you know a lot about fantasy football in general, or you watch enough football that the players somewhat,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think, every person that's really into fantasy and thinks they, know enough to draft a regular fantasy football team, you don't have to spend a lot. Put $25 or $40 in there. Draft you some of these $4 teams, some of these $8 teams. You know what? You're gonna have fun. It's just like regular fantasy, where like weeks 1 through 14 of the regular season, you get to watch these teams and see how they're doing and all that stuff. And then the beauty of it though is you don't have all those start sit decisions to work with. Literally, once the season starts, the only thing you have to do is sign into your app and just see how you're doing.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about drops and trades and who do I start this week. Oh, I got these two receivers and I can only start one of them. Like, the system will automatically put the best scores in there for you. All you
Nice.
got to do is just do it, essentially.
Sounds good.
Anyways, man, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. I know you got to run probably.
No, it's good. It was a good night. It was fun.
But yeah, anytime, man. If like I said, if it gets later in August and you do want to do a little something, let me know, because I can definitely help get you a like promotion code where you can get some free money, essentially.
Yeah.
Play with your money plus free money, and I can help, give you my opinion on which tournaments are probably the best for, somebody like you just starting out.
All right, bud. Be good, man.
All right, bud. Take it easy.
See you, man. Bye.
So that was pretty fun, guys. Y'all tell me what you think. I think Neil did pretty good. And, he knows fantasy. He watches football. He's in my league we were kind of talking about there a little bit that I've been running for years. I tell you what I'm going to do. It's 4th of July. I'm feeling okay. Let me see. Where we at on the likes here? Let's see. You guys want to do another draft tonight? Talk to me. Let me know. If you guys want to do another draft, let me know. I could possibly do a third one tonight. I'm going to try to catch up on the chat a little bit. If nobody is dying to draft anything, I may just call it a night. So you guys make me draft, because I really would rather draft. Throw a tournament out there and let's do it. Mark thinks it was a good team. Sniped my McCaffrey pick. We already saw that. I got Diggs, so Drake was on my QB list. Nothing wrong with that. I think you drafted a pretty good team, Mark. They're deadly, buddy. By the time I hear what you say, it's already happening. Oh, yeah. I know the delay. Something stinks at the end. We talked about that. I think you had a super smart, well-constructed team, Dirty P. I really did. I think that team is going to be, if Stafford and the Rams are killing it, that team depends on Stafford and the Rams. If they're killing it, you definitely have a shot to do something with that team. I didn't think Jonnu would be there so late. He's a week 5 bye, but I already had Henry. Picking from the late position, you get stuck with a lot of week 8, week 5 bye players. Yeah, that does seem to happen. JT, can you refresh your app so we can see the correlation? Sorry about that, man. I must have missed out on that. I didn't really realize. I noticed it, but I knew Neil wouldn't really, understand a lot of the correlations and stuff. So I was just trying to run through. Plus, I knew he kind of had to get out of here, and I wanted to run through some of the different tournaments for him. I'm going to try to do that with some other people, So this is one of my goals as a new streamer, is I want to try to, and that's what the poll question. I think there's still so much room for best ball to grow, because like the league that me and him was talking about, it's a league that I've ran for 16 years. It's a pretty casual league. Like, I kick ass in it a lot. Half of the league is really good fantasy football players who really know what they're doing and been doing it for a lot of years. And then the other half of the league is, just kind of casual people who they know what they're doing, but they're grass touchers. They're not, with the ins and outs, the dailies, what's happening every minute in the league like we are. But literally it's a bigger league. It's 14 teams, and of the 14 teams in there, when I was asking in the little chat or whatever when I first started streaming, only one person even had played best ball before. And then Neil and somebody else said that they have heard of best ball, but only been from me talking about it. And so it's like, then that's just one league, right? There's so many hundreds and hundreds of people out there who love to play the game of fantasy football, but for whatever reason haven't stepped over to the best ball world yet. And yes, it's a money thing. No, everybody's not going to get in there and spend thousands of dollars like we do drafting teams all summer. But there's a place for everybody, right? Like I definitely think if you're the type that's going to spend anywhere from 20 to $100 playing in a random little 12-person league that you might win $100 or so, something like that at the end of the year, why not spend $50, maybe even $100 if you can afford to do it. Play in a handful of tournaments. If you do really good in one of those, you could really win some damn good money. So that's kind of one of my missions with my streaming, is just to help spread the best ball word. Try to see if we can't find more and more of these regular fantasy people, get them hooked. You talked me into liking it, JT. I think it was a good team, man. I really, really do. Evening, late night degeners. What's up, babe? Good to see you in here. Yes, we were trying to convert a fantasy football buddy into a best ball bro. I guess let me flip to the end of the chat. Dirty P says he wants to rip a Chalua. What seconds is that? Did they give us an option? I'm taking it you're already signed up in it. Sorry, I didn't look at the end of the chat first. They only give us the 20-second option. Hopefully I can get in there with you. Are you still waiting, Dirty P, or did it already sign up? I just jumped into 20-second. If you're still trying to get in it. Did we make it in the same one? I don't think we made it in the same one, my friend. Sorry about that. I see Vapor made it in, though. Sorry about that, Dirty P. I was going through the chats and I didn't have the end of the chat pulled up, so I didn't realize that you had already jumped in it. My bad. But Vape made it into this one with us. We will draft it. I don't see anybody else I recognize, but if you happen to find your way in this room and you're on my stream watching, let me know. We will shout you out in the chat. We will talk about your team at the end of it. You guys tell me in the chat too. How do y'all think Neil did? Y'all think he did okay? The first draft, if you saw the first one, I totally just let him get his guys. Now, he was signed in about 10 minutes before we went live. And, I walked him through a little bit of the basics, just like a regular draft. You don't really want to reach too far for your players. You want to, get the guys, have fun with it. Get the guys that you like. But at the same time, make sure that, you try to get the best value on guys, of course. And I thought he did pretty damn well, to be honest with you, with that first team. The Eliminator, I still tried to let him pick his players. I did kind of help him a little bit, just like recommending structure and stuff, because the Eliminator is just kind of such a unique beast of its own. I know they're not going to let me get CeeDee Lamb at the 6th spot. There is just absolutely no way. I knew it wouldn't happen. We're going to take Puka, though. I need to start probably taking a little more McCaffrey. But I just really like Puka. Dirty P says the Chalupa's feeling fast. I'll be drafting all night. This thing is going to feel fast. Yeah, it probably is. Let's see, what is it at already? $4. It's a 25 maxer. Already 11% full. It doesn't surprise me that it's feeling fast. That doesn't surprise me at all. You know what? I don't know. We'll see if you want to hold off, Dirty P, if you're going to be drafting all night, if you want to hold off whenever yours finishes, since you're slightly ahead of us, I could probably rip a fourth draft tonight with you. We're feeling good. We can stay up a little later to make it happen. If you haven't hit the like button already, though, please, y'all hit that like button. We're bringing, fantasy football casuals on for you guys to have a fun little draft with. We're going to get BTJ all the way back at 18. What do you know, boys? That doesn't happen too often. And we are not going to pass it up. Puka and BTJ, nothing wrong with that start at all. Let's see, what all do we have to talk about tonight? You have to draft one team every 4% to keep pace. Some fun starts in these Chihuahua rooms for sure. But yeah, Dirty P, don't start up another one when yours is over. And if you're really gonna be drafting all night, I can do one more. We'll talk to you later, Mark. Have a good evening. Have a good night, I guess. Get you some sleep, buddy. But if you would, hit that like button for me. Hit that subscribe button. It does help out our channels a lot. We will not be here tomorrow night. Y'all know my thing. It's Saturday night. That's the one night that I kind of take off. But don't worry, we will be back Sunday, just like we always are. Let me get through this next pick, and I will tell y'all about some things that are possibly in the works for next week. And then we'll get some music on. It's getting kind of late. We kind of need some music going. I'm going to use this little fall. McBride doesn't normally come. He's starting to more and more. But in general, he doesn't come over here that often. And especially with this being a time box tournament, probably a really quick time box tournament, I'm not worried about his ADP getting too far over there on the right side of the board. I mean, it's still at 25 right now. So there could be a pretty unique team right here because we got BTJ from the 7 hole, who generally is always right here on the very far right. And we got McBride, who a lot of times is way more on the left side of the board, with Puka, who generally does go right there around 7. So I kind of like what we did right there, to be honest with you, a lot. Probably grabbing us one of these receivers on the way back around. That would be my guess. Yes, we will. We will take Mike Evans. Another little bit of a fall. We're getting some nice value in this team, guys. We're just, you know, out here trying to do the best we can to scoop up all this great value that the board is leaving us. Pounding it up. Let's get some music going. We got a few picks in between us. So Sunday, I'm probably going to be just by myself. I'm gonna try to get a couple guests next week. I know you guys are fans of the Who Crew like I am. Monday, I will actually be on Who Hames' channel, his normal 4 o'clock start time. I'll still be on my channel that night, the normal 10 o'clock start time. But I will be on his channel Monday during the day at 4 o'clock. And then Tuesday night, if you guys caught the fun little thing we did with me and Hartman and Chris, the Candyman, last week, this week actually, we're going to do it again this week. It was a lot of fun. We're kicking around some ideas of what we want to do. Stay tuned. It's going to be pretty exciting, I think. A little something we've been talking about. I think we might go Pickens here if he holds, or we also, that's fine if Pickens goes. Let's take Ridley. We're doing the 0 RB thing, I think. We took an elite tight end. We got some nice options later at quarterback. I'm really liking the way this team is turning out, boys. But that's going to be Tuesday night. I'm not sure the exact time, and I'm not sure exactly whose channel we're going to do it on. We have to work all that out. But of course, you guys will find the info out. But it's going to be a lot of fun. If you missed it, you can go back and see the one we did this week on Candyman's channel. It was a lot of fun. I came in with a little hot 0 drafting Bucky Irvin take at the beginning of it. Had a little fun with it. Laid out my bear case why I am not drafting Bucky Irvin. I could very well be wrong and he could kill me. But it's just a stand I'm willing to make. Drafted some really good teams, though, that night. Bendels was on there for a couple of them, too, come to think about it. Oh, and then also next week, let's see here. I would love to get either RJ Harvey. Well, he just went. We'll take Mixon. No problem. I love Mixon too. I think my Texans are going to have a really, really strong defense this year. And I think that I do see a lot of games where, Mixon's always been the type of back that as the game goes on, especially a game his team's kind of winning, he can just, kind of put his head down and go to work. I think he's a really good pick where he goes. 1 second, guys. So also next week, now this one isn't set in stone. I'm still working out some details, and he's supposed to get back to me once he finds out his work schedule. But I think there's a decent chance that Mr. Consecutive Days live himself, PBR Tyler, will be on my channel hopefully one night next week if things work out. That'll be a lot of fun. He streams at a tough time for me to catch, so I don't catch a whole lot of his live streams. But the ones I have caught, he's always pretty entertaining to listen to. The Superflex ball knower, him and Steve. That's all we kind of have lined up right now, but I might try to get somebody else on too next week. I'm kind of waiting until Tyler finds out his schedule and gets back to me. We're going to grab another running back here. And I tell y'all, this draft is just really working out nice. We've gotten so much value on so many dang people. You know, we got Mixon a few picks past. All those few picks add up. We got Judkins a few picks past. You know, BTJ at 18. That doesn't happen too often. Evans came to us at 42. McBride came to us at 31. We're definitely feeling pretty good about this squad we're putting together. We got 2 running backs that we feel good about early. So now we're okay, you know, adding on all those late guys that we love to as the, you know, big upside type plays. Let me look at something on the board real quick. Where is Ibuka's on that side? Godwin's on that side. Baker went just now. Never mind. I was debating in my head if it was worth trying to push Baker around. But somebody already grabbed him, so no big deal. I think we're going to go Mooney here. Mooney would make an excellent 5th receiver. Of course, he's the bring back for Puka week 17. He also plays Mike Evans week 15. Got to win that week too. We are liking it. We are liking the way that this team is turning out. Appreciate you guys stopping in and hanging out with me tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed the 4th of July special. Neil's a good dude, man. I've known him. We talked about it at the beginning. So my wife, we're both from Texas, lived in Texas our whole life. My wife is a pediatrician. And whenever she got done with her residency program, or whenever she got done with med school, the way that it kind of works is you have to, what they call match. You don't get to pick which program you go and you do your residency at. You can kind of, essentially you pick like 8 areas or 8 different spots or something like that. And then of those 8 different spots, they basically, it's called match. They will tell you where you're going. Before I finish that, though, let me take Jaylen Warren. And I got a new little treat for you guys. Just made it today.
You just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go.
My boy's out there pulling soccer goals around for his training. Let's go, Jaylen Warren. Move him up in the rankings. But anyways, my wife has a little bit of family in St. Louis, and so she had put that as like her third, fourth, fifth option, something like that. Just so that if we didn't end up in Texas, at least maybe we could end up somewhere that we kind of knew somebody at. And sure enough, we didn't get one of the Texas ones like we wanted. She ended up in St. Louis. And of course, being new there, first thing I had to do was hurry up and try to find some sort of job. And so I applied at a bunch of places, of course. I don't have a college degree myself or anything. Oh, hold on. We are on the clock again and almost passed it up. We will just grab Scatterbo because we didn't have a whole lot of time to look. And we see that he's one of the top guys on the board. And nothing wrong with going with him as our fourth running back, to go with the 5 receivers we have, and to go with McBride. We're going to start looking at some of the quarterback options as we move back around to us, I think. Let's see. Yeah, him. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. But anyways, so we went up there. We got matched in St. Louis. And within a week or two of getting there, a particular Rent-A-Center store right in the heart of town, right in the heart of good old, always interesting and lively ghetto parts of St. Louis, Missouri. The Rent-A-Center was hiring. Neil was working there temporarily because he was helping out his buddy who was the store manager there. And him and that particular guy, Jeff, they took me under their wing being new to town. They were really cool to me right off the bat. Me and Neil became good friends working in the box truck together and stuff every day. And, they introduced me to hockey. Being a Texas boy, I didn't know about hockey, and they took me to a Blues game one night. That was a lot of fun, seeing hockey live for the first time. And anyways, though, those couple years me and Neil worked together, you're in the truck with each other for about a year and a half or so, every dang day, dang near all day. We became pretty good friends, found out we had a lot of common interests, both love football. And so we're still friends to this day, even though he still lives up there. I'm back here in Texas where I belong. But we still talk a lot and hang out. Well, not really hang out, but we still talk a lot and stuff. He's my boy. He's a really good friend. And part of why I brought him on tonight, other than just the whole, Fantasy Guy Drafts best ball team, is it's kind of funny because back then, now this was like probably 14 years or so ago, we're talking. And back then, me and Neil used to, joke around about one day potentially doing like some sort of sports podcast together, because we both just, love talking about sports and stuff. And so I just kind of thought it was a really cool, almost full circle moment. It's not a true sports podcast, but I am streaming now. We do talk about football all the time while we draft best ball teams. So when I had that idea of bringing somebody on who's a, fantasy player like that, but doesn't know anything about best ball, he was like just the clear, obvious first choice. Reached out to him. He was totally on board with it. So we made it happen. I think I'm going to go Christian Kirk here as a 6th receiver. And I think even having Puka and BTJ on week 8 buys, if I need to, I still have Evans, Ridley, Mooney, and Kirk as the other 4. We could possibly be done. We'll see. We got some options, because this will definitely be a 3 QB team. I kind of have the QBs in mind that I want. We'll see if they work out. We are 151 and then 162. This room is definitely getting their guys. I'll be honest with you. I haven't paid that much attention to the other teams, but I could just tell by the type of value that we're getting that it's definitely been kind of that room. But yeah, looking over the board, definitely see some getting their guys action for sure. More power to us though, right? We'll just stay here in our lane and keep putting together what hopefully will work out to be a really nice team for the both of us. Me and Vape, we can go ahead and take those top 2 spots and then move on. Try to make a final. We're going to grab Penix here. The guy in front of me took Matthew Stafford unstacked. That didn't really make much sense to me. I guess he has Kyron with him, if you want to call that a stack. I don't want Matthew Stafford at all if he doesn't have any of his receivers. Call me crazy unless he's planning on backdooring it with Ferguson or something. We have Trevor Lawrence and Michael Penix. We might go 3 QBs with this team because I think we can keep it at 2 tight ends. Being that we have McBride. We kind of do need McBride to be hitting for us. Cam Ward just went though. So I don't know. Maybe we do now end up. We're going to take Strange as our second tight end. No, actually, we're not going to do that because we want to keep it at 2 and he has the same bye week. We're going to take Eckler. We'll take the value. Eckler's fallen a little bit. 5th running back, we have Mixon, Judkins, Jaylen Warren, Cam Scatterboo, Austin Eckler, Puka Thomas, Evans, Ridley, Mooney, Kirk, Trey McBride. I didn't want to do the Strange. I thought about doing Strange, but then I saw that McBride also, is a week 8 guy, and I really don't want to just eat tight end altogether on week 8. Let's see. Probably, I think 6 running backs would be plenty on this team. If I had to, even, I could keep it at 5. We'll see what comes around. We'll just leave it on everybody and see what happens. Keep an eye on the quarterbacks as we come back around. You're right though. They are definitely getting their guys in this draft, and it is making for some really interesting falls. Like, I have a tough decision here. Strange is falling a whole lot, or a decent amount. I don't necessarily really want to draft him. I guess we still need one more receiver. We're going to hold off. We're on Strange. We're going to take Naimi Brown. We'll be done with those 7 probably at receiver. BTJ, Puka. We have 3 guys out on week 8, but we'll still have Evans, Ridley, Mooney, and Kirk to cover that. Week 8 isn't where the money's won anyways. And just judging by how some of these other guys are drafting, I mean, we have the 12 hole who did a double elite QB. Also started running back. Oh, the 12 hole has 4 QBs. Good Lord. So like that right there kind of probably makes it hard for him. He has 2 running backs through 16 rounds. Might be kind of hard to advance that team. Might be playing against at least 11, and I haven't really looked over the other ones a whole lot yet. Whatever. I'm going to go ahead and take Daniel Jones just to give me a little more firepower, I think. Yeah, let's do that. So you guys know, check this out. The few of you that are still here, y'all are in for a treat tonight. You guys know I do my guys, right? Well, I had a little extra time today, so I have fun with it. And we don't really want to draft Daniel Jones, right? When we draft Daniel Jones, it's kind of like what we call the growth stack. In this case, it's not even a stack. So here is my Daniel Jones low light. We are just hoping and praying that Daniel Jones does not do this on this team. We like to have fun around here, guys. Y'all know that. That is my Daniel Jones low light. I had to take him because I don't really want to go with just Lawrence and Penix. We're going into round 17. We still need that one more tight end. Since I have McBride, I think I'm going to shoot for some big upside with this tight end pick. I think there's still some running backs to choose from that's going to come around. Let's take our first Darren Waller share. Why not, right? Like, if for some reason he doesn't pan out and he's not playing football in week 8, whatever, we still have McBride on this team. In the case that he's actually a really useful player for Miami, maybe we get some really nice spike weeks out of him and he hits our lineup, or maybe he gives us a good score in week 8. We were in the 17th round and I saw that there was at least 3 running backs on the board who I would not mind taking. Actually, 4 running backs on the board who I wouldn't mind taking. So we went ahead and did it. We'll grab Brashard Smith. That'll finish it off. It's a 3-6-7-2. Quarterbacks are Lawrence, Penix, Daniel Jones. Running back room, Mixon, Quinton Junkins, Jaylen Warren, Scatterboo, Austin Eckler, Brashard Smith. That is a plenty good enough running back room. Just value all throughout this draft. I mean, discount on Mixon, discount on Judkins, discount on Scatterboo a little bit, still counts. Discount on Eckler. Dang near every one of my running backs I took past ADP. Yes, every one of them past ADP. Wide receivers, Puka, BTJ, got him at 18. Mike Evans, discount. Calvin Ridley, Darnell Mooney, Christian Kirk, Naomi Brown, Trey McBride, we got way back at 31. I think late night in these cheap tournaments might be the way to go, guys. Let's look at our friend Vape real quick. 3-6-7-2. Was he able to capitalize on the discount? Also, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, my nemesis, Sam Darnold, Christian McCaffrey, Chuba. Why does it have a 0 ADP for Chuba? That is really weird. It says that Chuba Hubbard does not have a ADP. That's weird. RJ Harvey, Najee Harris, Rico Dowdle, Marshawn Lloyd. Yeah, same thing. He was able to get, Rico at a discount, Najee at a discount. Receivers, Amon. He got Amon all the way back at 17. Devontae Adams. Got JSN at 41. Debo all the way at pick 80. Jaden Reed a discount. Xavier Leggett, who I've been really in on, all the way back at pick 161. Evan Ingram, Dalton Schultz. So let's see what we got. We got Stroud with just Schultz. We got Bryce Young with Leggett. We got JSN. So basically a single stack of your quarterbacks. I like the team though. I mean, I don't like Sam Darnold, but I could very well be wrong about Sam Darnold. If he's anything close to the dude he was most of the year in Minnesota, he's a great pick where he's going. Bryce Young and CJ. Nice running back room. Same thing as me. Got some good values on guys, led by McCaffrey. Amon way into the second round. That doesn't happen too often. Puka, JSN, Debo at great value. Nice team, sir. Nice team for sure. Let's catch up in the chat a little bit. Dirty P, talk to me. Is your draft over yet? I think yours started before us, so if it's not, it should definitely be getting there. Bucky was my biggest sticker shock when I started drafting this season. I'm taking him, though, at least close to the field. I talked about it when I was on there with Chris. That was at the very beginning. I went off on a tangent. So my thing with him is like, okay, let's pull up this board real quick that we just drafted. Like the running backs that are going right in front. Well, this guy got Bucky at 14. It really was a go get your guy draft. Normally Bucky goes right here, right? And it's like all of the guys. Oh, and Breece Hall. I didn't really look at the board as closely this draft as I do sometimes. I see what you're saying, Vape. Breece Hall all the way up in the 13 spot. That's the same guy. His team's dead, though. I mean, he took 4 quarterbacks after taking Lamar and Hurts. But generally, Bucky goes, right over here. And we're taking him, right around guys like Jonathan Taylor, who is like for sure the workhorse of his team. He's going to be in there on a lot of passing downs. He's going to be in there as a primary back most of the time. He's going to be in there on goal line situations. You know, Derrick Henry goes a lot earlier. Achane goes a lot earlier, but their roles are also completely different. You know, they are the true, in my opinion, workhorses for their team. Going to be in there, maybe not Derrick Henry in passing downs, but Derrick Henry's a different situation. Generally, you know, hold on, let me see. I got my paper open in case y'all missed it. We'll go through it again. So, you know, in a normal draft, because this one wasn't normal, here was my little write-up I did for that stream we had. All right, draft just finished, Dirty P. So let's go hop in another one of those. I'll count it down for you guys so that we can hopefully get in at the same one, and then I'll finish my Bucky Urban talk because it is getting late. I'll do one more with you guys, but then I'm gonna head on to bed myself. I'm going to count it down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Entering it now. 7 spots. Should be plenty to get in for you guys. I see it jumped instantly down to 3. So y'all are all probably jumping in it with me who wanted to at least. But here's my Bucky stuff, right? Like we can get Breece Hall and Kyren Williams 14 picks on average past Bucky. You can get Cook on average 20 picks past Bucky. And so it's like we know he is not going to be a true workhorse back. He is going to be their main running back. Sure, I will give you that. He's not going to be their true workhorse back. Oh, dang, Dirty P. I guess you missed us on this one too, my man. Sorry about that. I tried to count it down the best I could for you. I see Vape got in here with me, though. At least we got one friendly face in here. They are filling up quick, though. This thing, like, snap filled, especially for needing 7 when I've joined it. But it's like, to me, we know that on passing situations, White is still going to be involved. Like, White is an excellent pass blocker. White is an excellent receiver out of the backfield. He is still going to be in there a lot more than the people, especially who are super high on Bucky at price or wanting Bucky to just, you know, take over and be this, you know, lead back monster smash pick in the late 2nd round. They're going to give me Bijan at 6? Couldn't give me Bijan at 6, right? It just couldn't happen. No, I didn't think so. That's fine. We'll take Gibbs. But, and so for me, you know, I would much rather take Breece Hall 14 picks later. I'd much rather take Cook 20 picks later. But and so, you know, some arguments are, well, yeah, even if White steals the passing down work, when they are running, they're going to be a good offense. When they have the lead, when they're running the ball, you know, that's when Bucky will be in there. All right, let's compare just a few games, you know, not even half, but maybe a third of their schedule last year to this year. They really didn't have a lot of tough games last year. You know, I went back and looked at, there's a site I use that tells you basically like the fantasy points scored against a particular defense from each position. Okay, they played New Orleans twice, who wasn't a great run defense, wasn't a great defense at all. They played Carolina twice. Carolina gave up the most fantasy points to running backs over the course of the season last year. They played the New York Giants, who gave up the 2nd most points to running backs over the course of the year. They played San Francisco, who gave up the 3rd most points to running backs. They even played Dallas, who gave up the 10th most points to running backs. You know, if you look at their schedule this year, They have a lot of tough games, especially in the first half of the year. I know we want to win in the playoffs, but we got to get there, right? Your second round pick has to help get you there. He has to be one of the main reasons. They have to play Houston's defense this year, who I think is going to be just an elite defense. They have to play the Jets. They have to play Philly. They have to play Detroit. They have to play Buffalo. You know, those are going to be some really tough games. And to me, those games sound a lot more like games where maybe at best it's kind of 50-50. They're still mixing White in there a lot because they're in a lot of, you know, second and long, third and long situations. A lot of games maybe they're trailing and they have White in there. Or, you know, a lot of games where, you know, maybe they're even losing and so White's in there a whole lot because they just really need him to be, you know. Let's go Gibbs and Ladd. That's how we're gonna start this one. I was really hoping London would have fell there. That would have been a 6 start. Gibbs and London. We were 1 pick away, but we didn't make it work. Yeah, week 17, but it's like, you know, granted, if you have Bucky in week 17, yes, it's going to probably be a nice running back to have in week 17. But there's just, in my opinion, for a late second round pick, so much stacked against him. You know, when we take Jonathan Taylor in the late second round, we're hoping that Jonathan Taylor stays healthy, because if he stays healthy, he's a freaking smash. Like, he's going to be catching passes. He's their goal line back. He's getting 20 plus carries a game. Their whole offense is completely built around him. When you take some of the receivers, if you're the guy that takes Tyreek Hill, that's me. I love Tyreek Hill. If you're the guy that takes Rashee Rice, you know, you're taking him because you are thinking he's going to be, you know, smashing for you every game. And we just talked about some of those games that are going to be really, really freaking tough games for him. Sorry about that, man. No big deal. Didn't realize you were 30 seconds behind the live chat. It's all good. Plenty more drafts to come. Yeah, don't worry about it, man. It happens. And, you know, there's going to be times where whatever draft I jump in, it just snap feels as soon as I jump in it, and you miss out that way. Tomorrow's our off night. I promised the wife whenever I started streaming that I would only do at the most 6 days a week, except for the end of July. The end of July, my wife and the girls are taking a little girls trip vacation, so that basically the last weekend, I think, in July, look at my calendar. Yeah, I think it's like July 26th, that Saturday, through about August 1st, or no, August 2nd or so. We will be on every single night that week. I actually am going to try to, here's my idea, y'all tell me what you think about it. Since we're football guys, since it'll be kind of right at the end of training camp, kicking off into the preseason, we're going to go old school. We're going to have some two-a-days. I'm thinking kind of like that Monday through about Friday. We're going to stream, find a time during the day that works for me, because it'll just be me here. All the kids will be gone. The wife will be gone. And we're going to stream for a little bit during the day, and then we'll also still be on at night that week, doing what we do, getting in some extra drafts, right in the heart of best ball season. I think it'll be a lot of fun. But Dirty P, getting back to Bucky, I could very much be wrong. I talk about it all the time. You know, I am not one to sit here and tell you I know it all, because I don't. I'm just a dude who studies football a lot. We're going to take Ted, you know, and just so a little backstory on me. And I think this is maybe a little bit of an edge, not a big edge, because again, I'm just a dude. But before me and my wife got serious way back in the day, there was a time in my life where I was going to get just into like the high school system here in Texas and actually be a football coach. I've always thought like a coach, even when I played sports growing up. I have that mind that looks at the game kind of like a coach. I've coached a shit ton of youth sports over the last 14 years with my kids growing up and stuff. I never would have been able to do what I'm doing now streaming wise back when I was doing a lot more of that. But now my kids are all getting older to where even my youngest two that play soccer, they play for select soccer, which let the coaches that know soccer way better than me coach that. But I was going to get into the school system and I was going to be like a high school football coach, try to work my way up, see how high I could get. I've always looked at the game though, kind of from that aspect. And so I enjoy, what I do, my research and stuff. I really dig into the players. I watch a lot of tape. I'm not one that I don't subscribe to like the perception reception. I don't prescribe to PFF. I'm not really like a look at all the crazy numbers and analytics type guy. Maybe I should get into that down the road. Maybe it will, help me out some. I like to look at like basic stats, taking what I know about the game of football. Let me see what we want to do here. I think we're going to keep going wide receiver though. I like Ridley. I like some of the options it'll set up. We have our anchor Gibbs. We'll eventually get some more running backs to go with him. But basically what I'm getting at is just kind of talking my style, and to put a bow on it, like that is, I guess, probably why I do tend to have really big stands as far as guys I'm in on and guys that I'm out on, because I just, at the end of the day, I trust my knowledge of how the game of football works and is played. And then I know the hours that I put in thinking about this stuff, and I know the hours that I put in watching tape and stuff and analyzing and thinking about it. And so I'm not afraid to go with my feelings towards dudes, and I'll be the first to admit that sometimes I am definitely wrong. A lot of times, sometimes I'm definitely right though too. And with Bucky's case, it could definitely hurt me, but that's just how I feel. Babe says, approximately how many drafts have you done pre and post draft? Let me get through this next pick and then we'll talk about it. Last year, I only drafted a handful of slows on Underdog. Y'all know I talk about it all the time. I didn't really come over to Underdog full time until I started streaming, and BBG and a couple other guys, when I was talking with them, highly recommended thinking about going more with Underdog versus DraftKings, which I had played on. That's where I started. I played a lot of DFS before I got into best ball. I think I still want to go receiver here. One more. Then we got to start getting into the running back room. We're going to do some late quarterbacks, I think, late tight ends. But anyways, I came over from DFS, which I had played for years. So 2 years ago was the first time that I drafted a lot of volume. I say a lot, not a lot compared to what I'm doing this year. I probably did about 125 or so drafts. No, because I didn't max it. I probably did about 150 drafts the first year that I really went all in or did a lot on DraftKings. On DraftKings, I did draft a lot of their Millie Maker tournaments, whereas like on Underdog, I don't really draft that many BBMs. I'm probably not drafting BBMs this year other than when I do it with people on stream. my reasoning for it on DraftKings was they just don't have as many great tournaments, and like so many of theirs, the $3 tournament they have, it's just a huge field that they leave up all summer, and it's the same, 2 of 12, 1 of 12, 1 of 12, pretty decent sized final. And so like for me, it's like I don't want to go through I don't want to have that team that has to make it out of a 1 of 12 and then a 1 of 12 again in the playoffs, only to be in the finals of, this small little tournament. If I'm going to play something with that type of structure, I'm going to go ahead and spend the $20, and hey, at least that team that gets to the finals is going to have a chance to play for $1 million. 2 years ago, I had a whole lot of success on DraftKings overall. Last year, money-wise, I about broke even. I had a decent amount of teams make the playoffs. I had a decent amount of teams make the semifinals. I did not have any teams make the actual finals last year. Looking back on it, I know one of my biggest flaws last year. We've talked about it on stream. If you haven't heard it and you want me to talk about it, let me know and I'll tell you. So we're trying to correct that this year and take steps to not have that happen. So then last year was the first year I did anything on Underdog, and everything I did was slow drafts. I did like that eliminator. DraftKings doesn't have anything like that. I want to say, hold on, it's Underdog. We can look back at last year's. Let me see here. Let me go figure out how I look at last year's drafts, NFL. There we go. Under results. So last year I didn't have, let me take it off of the board real quick on the main one so I'll know when it's my pick. Last year I didn't really win much on Underdog, to be honest with you. It looks like I did, well, I gotta add them all up. 3, 6, 16. Hold on, let me make my pick. I see I'm getting close to my pick over here. We could do that. We don't really want to start going with quarterback yet because we have a lot of nice options. What's out here at running back? I think we're going to hold off one more time. Let's go ahead and get Hockenson. We like getting Hockenson when we don't have an elite tight end. But anyways, I guess we don't need to know exact numbers, but I did like a handful, maybe like 40, 50 eliminators last year. I had one team that made it kind of far. I think I want to say week 12 or something like that, and had a nice little payday. And the only other thing that I did on Underdog was I did about 14 of a super flex. Everything I did on Underdog last year was slow drafts. All of my live drafts I did on DK. So it was a very small volume on Underdog. And on DraftKings last year, I had close to total about like 200 tournaments, I want to say. I plan on doing more than that, of course, on Underdog last year, but I did about 125 out of the 150 in the big tournament on DraftKings, and then the rest of them were like, those little $8 tournaments and stuff like that they have that are actually somewhat decent structure. Nothing like we have over here on Underdog. I know your question was actually about this year, and I'm going to answer that now also. I'm not like skating around it or anything. I'll actually go look and pull it up, and we'll see kind of where I'm at. Pre-draft this year, I was kind of debating if I really wanted to get into streaming or not. And during the pre-draft time is also just a super busy time of the year for me because I do have 2 daughters that play select soccer, and it's like I'm at the soccer fields for practice 4 nights a week. I don't coach their teams anymore, but I'm still up there like at the fields and everything. Let's see, we need to make a pick here. I think this is a running back pick. We're going to go with Scatterboo. We're running out of time. We need to make the pick. He's a decent third running back behind Gibbs and Pollard. We're looking good at receiver. We're looking good at tight end. When it comes back around, we might start trying to get into some quarterbacks. We'll see where it's at. But anyways, pre-draft, I can pull it up on my phone. Everything I did pre-draft this year, it wasn't much, and it was all on DraftKings because they had it for the first time. And again, I was a DraftKings guy until I just recently switched over to. Yeah, like I only did 8 pre-draft drafts total on DraftKings, and it was that $10 training camp thing that they had. Looking forward though, I plan to be once I decided to stream, I'm gonna try my best to be full-time for you guys. So like kind of let's talk my big plan is during the regular season. One of the reasons why I want to do a whole lot of eliminators this year is because I won't be streaming 6 nights a week during the regular season. And maybe some of you guys can, DM me or something as the season gets ready to start and fill me in on some tips, because I think one thing I'm going to do for content, sorry, it's getting late, is get into the BRs, the battle royales on here. I've never done those before. I'll be honest with you, that's something that will be totally new to me. But my thinking is it's probably enough. It's a close enough content, right? Like a lot of the people who love drafting best ball teams all summer, those are probably some of the same people, I'm assuming, that love playing the BR drafts. And so a couple nights a week, I plan to stream and do some BR drafts, especially early in the year. We'll be talking through some strategies. Look forward to hearing you guys in the chat or whatever talk to me about BR. Teach me about BR. I've never played it. I played a lot of DFS. I know it's a different game. I think it's 6 people in the draft, and you only have a few positions that you're trying to fill each week. I've watched a few of Pete Overzet's, stuff that he does on it. So I understand the basic concept and I know how they work. And once it gets closer to the season, I'll research it. But that is kind of the plan, big picture for my channel is during the season, I plan to do like at least until all of my eliminators are done, probably like a Monday or not Monday, probably like a Tuesday or Wednesday night. We'll do an eliminator recap. We'll hop on a stream. We'll go over my eliminator teams that are still live, see how many I have left, see who my matchups are for the next week. Maybe do a draft or 2 BR for the upcoming Thursday night game, something like that. Maybe Friday night, Saturday night, do some more BR drafts for the Sunday slate. Something like that. That's kind of the plan during the season. And then, yes, next year, I guess it's right after the Super Bowl. When does that big board and little board normally start? I will be streaming those next year. I've never been one to play in a whole lot of them before, but next year I will definitely be streaming a lot of them because that is kind of the plan. Let's see, the quarterbacks I really wanted went kind of getting pushed out here. We could go Christian Kirk, grab another receiver, sets up a possible CJ thing. We must have just had a big run at quarterbacks. There was a whole bunch of them that I was interested in. I was thinking about maybe Drake May. We were thinking about, well, I guess Justin Herbert had went before. It's all right though. We still have a few options here. We'll start piecing this one together in a minute. Where's the Nico drafter at? He took Daniels. Yeah, he doesn't have another quarterback, so he's probably going to take Stroud on the way back, I would imagine. Should have just took Goff unstacked, to be honest with you. Like, he's fallen so much past ADP at 118. Where's the Amon guy? He's not taking him? I guess he already has. There he goes. He took him now. That's quite a big fall on Goff there. What's up, Fantasy Dog? We haven't seen you in a while, my friend. Good to see you popping in. Thank you for hitting the like. We appreciate it. It's late. This is the 4th draft, so we were just kind of talking. Y'all know how I am. I love to talk and I get on tangents sometimes. I'm still going to answer your question. Vapor asked me a question about how many drafts have I done post-draft and pre-draft. And it got me to talking about how many I did last year, leading up to it, and my plans for my streaming as far as my channel, kind of what I have in mind to try to keep it going year-round content-wise. But we're getting there. All right, we got CJ to come back to us. That is the sole reason that we took Kirk with the last pick, thinking that maybe we could get CJ to move back to us. And we'll be all right at quarterback now because we have like Bryce Young still as an option with having Ted. We have Ward as an option. We have old man Stafford as an option. We'll probably just hit them up. We got 4 running backs. We started Gibbs. We got Pollard, Scatterboo, and Ramondre. So we're okay right now at running back. Tack on a couple more late. A lot of firepower at receiver with Ladd, Adams, Ted, Calvin Ridley, Judy, and Christian Kirk. Yeah, I hear you, my man. It's always good to see you in here, though. If you get a chance to go back and watch the beginning, the first 2 drafts tonight, I brought one of my good friends on who's the most, your ideal casual fantasy football guy. Plays in 2 fantasy football season-long leagues, and that's it. But he loves football. He watches football a lot, so he knows the players and stuff like that. And we let him draft one of the Chihuahuas. He actually, I think, put together a really good team. All right. Hold on. Let me see here. What do we want to do? You know what? I don't love anything on the board. And I was just talking about this the other night. I think one thing that I need to be more willing to do is just take a quarterback unstacked. If he's a quarterback, if he's a quarterback that I like, be willing to take him sometimes unstacked. Because I think sometimes that is one of my downfalls, is that sometimes the way I tell you guys that I like to build, where team correlation is always kind of my first priority, I do think sometimes that can be my downfall, is that I worry too much about not having every single one of my quarterbacks stacked up. And so one thing that I am trying to do this year is be willing to take a quarterback sometimes if I feel I need to unstacked, just to make sure that my quarterback room is still strong enough. And I felt like if I didn't take one there, then there was a good chance that I was going to. And see, I'm kind of even more glad I did it now, because I didn't really want to reach down for Matthew Stafford. I mean, yes, I have Puka, but Puka can be good without Stafford. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't have Puka. I have Adams, but Adams can be good without Stafford. And I just, in a nutshell, like, Penix is young. He's probably got a better chance at staying healthy. We kind of got boxed out at quarterback on this team. I'm not going to lie. Let's get back in the running back room, I think, here. Let's go with Roschon. We might have to get gross and throw Daniel Jones on this team like we did the last one. But, you know, we don't need a ton at quarterback. If we could get some decent points from CJ and Penix, and if I do end up adding a Daniel Jones or something, we got Gibbs, who hopefully can be cooking. We got Pollard and Scatterboo and Ramondre and Roschon. We got a nice receiver room. It's not my best draft. I'll have to look back at it at the end and see kind of where we got pushed out, where we probably should have taken a quarterback instead of somebody else. Quarterbacks are available at the end of the draft now. Rodgers, Jones, AR. Why, JT? You talking about why take Michael Penix? It's just because, like, I don't want Daniel Jones unless he's like my third quarterback, and I don't want AR at all. I don't want to take that chance. If I'm going to take a shot on somebody like AR, it's going to be on a team where I have two quarterbacks with the bye week past week 9, and I'm just going to take a chance on Milroe playing late in the season versus AR. I don't want to do it. Rodgers is going to add literally 0 rushing. And I don't know, man. I'm really high on Atlanta this year. And so I think Michael Penix is going to have a good season. We still don't need to do that yet. Let's I think we want to go one more running back here. We'll take my boy Giddens. Y'all know I love drafting him. We'll be done there with those 6 running backs. Probably have to keep it 2 tight ends with Hockenson since we're going to take a third quarterback. We could even push it, you know. If I may take Jones. Jones would be probably the only quarterback I would think about taking on this team. I guess, you know, my thing with Rodgers is I don't think he's going to run much at all. And so I'm very low on him. Y'all see that, 5.9%. The only time I've taken Rodgers is when I have Metcalf, which I'm not super high on Metcalf. Also, before the trade of Jonnu over to Pittsburgh, I had actually been really in on Freiermuth, and I kind of assumed or had been playing all along like Rodgers was going to be their quarterback. So I did draft Rodgers even before he signed as a third quarterback on some teams if I had Metcalf or if I had Freiermuth, because you could back then get Rodgers literally in the 18th round almost, or 17th round before he signed. That's just how I want to play this year, you know. Like, I don't go out of my way to sign a guy. I mean, to draft a guy like Penix unstacked. But you know what? He was a couple picks past ADP. I got pushed out at quarterback some. You know, we'll look at the board in a minute. When I made the Penix pick, in a nutshell, I like him better than Matthew Stafford. And I thought I could maybe get Cam Ward to come back to me. And so kind of the idea at the time was, okay, I'll take Penix unstacked, but then I can get Cam Ward to come back here in the 14th, hopefully. And if I could have made that happen, then it would have been really nice. Whatever. Maybe we'll take Freiermuth as our second tight end. I still think Freiermuth is going to be useful there, even though they got Jonnu. And now that does kind of open me up on the way back if he's still there, which Aaron Rodgers went just in. But it's fine, you know, like at the end of the day, if I do not get Daniel Jones on this team, whatever. Like it's one tournament. It's one draft of my many drafts I'm gonna draft. And I still have, you know, CJ and Penix. If I have to, I'll just run this team with those two at QB. Hope that they have good years. Hope that some of my running back picks, like maybe I get lucky and Giddens, you know, gets to play a lot because JT's hurt. Gibbs is going to be smashing. Pollard's a starter. Ramondre, I'm high on Ramondre this year. I think Ramondre is undervalued. Yes, Travion's there. You know, is there a world where Travion Henderson is just kind of their change of pace explosive back, and Ramondre still gets a lot of valuable touches, including all the goal line work? I mean, he's one of the few players that's there from the do your job Bill Belichick era, which their coach is straight out of that era. So Ramondre could definitely be a guy that, you know, Vrabel kind of just likes rocking with his lead back, and, you know, maybe he plays. Maybe it's 50-50. If it's 50-50 and Ramondre has all of the goal line work, you know, Roshan Johnson could very well end up being the Gibbs this year. The Gibbs of Chicago. Not that Roshan Johnson. I'm sorry, not Gibbs. It's late, guys. Pardon my mistakes. This is my fourth draft. We've been streaming for a while now, quite a few hours, over 3 hours. And there goes Daniel Jones. So you know what? Since Daniel Jones went, we're going to do just what we said we're not scared to do. We're going to use the other picks somewhere else. We're going to take some value here on another receiver and take DeAndre Hopkins. And we're going to try to make our receiver room and our running back room hopefully good enough to carry this team. We'll have Hockenson and Freiermuth at tight end. And you know what? Maybe I will. Even though I normally like to do it on a team where it's past his bye week. You know what? I think I just talked myself into it. This would be a nice team for me to throw Milroe on, because let's talk about how I win when I win, right? Like the first part of the year. Let's say the first 8 weeks of the year through Milroe's bye week. Well, every week except for these two, I'm going to have Stroud or Penix to give me a decent score out of the two. Yes, on their bye weeks, I'll only have the other one. But, you know, we have 6 running backs we feel really good about. We have 7 receivers, capping it off with Hopkins as our last, that we feel really good about. Ladd, Adams, Ted, Ridley's our first 4. We have Hockenson and Freiermuth in the tight end room. They can hold it down for us. Okay, so, like, to me, this particular team, since I did get boxed out a lot, since I am really weak at quarterback, since neither one of my quarterbacks are guys that really add a ton, very little with their legs most of the time, this is a good team to take a chance on Milroe, throw him on there. You know what? If my team is in it, if my team's up near the top of the pod, let's just say late in the year, maybe it even takes to week 11 or 12 before Seattle's just really sorry and they give up on Darnold and they go to Milroe. Well, now I just got a guy thrust in as a third quarterback option who probably is going to be, as a rookie, just out there running around and hopefully getting points as a runner, throwing the ball around a little bit. So even though I don't take Milroe a whole lot outside of Superflex leagues, what do I have him outside of Superflex? Oh, I guess I do have him some still, 13%. Generally, the type of teams I like to put Milroe on are teams with 2 other quarterbacks like this, but guys that have a later bye. I really like it if it's like by week 9 and by week 12, because then I know that I'll have both of those quarterbacks all the way through week 8. I've talked about it before. I do definitely think that there is a world in which Milroe is the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks starting in about week 9 when they come back from their bye week. They have a horrible schedule the first 7 games. If you look at their schedule, I don't remember it now off the top of my head, but if you look at their schedule, I think there was one game, maybe like New Orleans, that I saw as okay, they could realistically have a good game and win this game. A lot of the other games are games that are going to be very tough for them to win, capped off by Monday night in week 7. They play my Houston Texans, which should have a really good defense. And I think that could just be the nail in the coffin. The Texans just completely get to Darnold with the pass rush, pick him off a couple times. They go into their bye week. The fans are, wanting to see him play and everything. I don't know. So he's a guy I'm willing to draft. Before I forget about it anymore, let's go see how many drafts I've drafted, because I don't want to forget about your question, Vaporware. Sorry, I don't know why I always want to call you Wave. I apologize. Nothing meant by it. So far, post-draft, because I didn't stream any of the pre-draft stuff on Underdog. I told you I only did a couple of them. That's just a really busy time of the year for me. But we'll figure it out next year, because I am going to be a big board streamer. I want to keep my channel going year-round. I don't want to take any big breaks. So I'll show you my slows too. I have some slows going. Like I know I have still 6 sprints that are slow drafts, because I did the little promo thing that they had where if you drafted 7, you got a little, bonus money or whatever. And I did 6 of them slow draft style, and I drafted 1 live. We have a 71 total right now. The 12 BBMs, I told y'all I'm only drafting BBMs with people on stream this year. So like Hartman was the very first person that came on my stream. Me and Who drafted that one. But Candyman's been on, Cody, Steve. And then these are all from that long 6-hour show I did. We had Meg, Sean, Who Hames, Cody, and then Cody and Hartman. And then we finished it off just me and Hartman. That's the only ones that I've done in BBMs. I did 7 pit bulls, some pugs, the golden, some poodles, some puppies, some schnauzer 2s. Now remember too, I'll tell you my DraftKings totals in a minute, because like when I first started this year post draft, I was still drafting DraftKings. So I actually have, let me see, I can look that up on my phone right now. Where's it tell me the total? It doesn't tell me the total on here. How many? I don't know. I've drafted a total of $747 worth. DraftKings doesn't tell me. Oh, wait, there it goes. Okay, undrafted. I have 4 slow drafts still going on DraftKings. And I have 45 drafts that I drafted. Most of them, if not all of those 45, are in the $20 millionaire one, just because it's weird. On DraftKings, I almost always prefer the $20 milli maker, just because all of their tournaments for the most part are not that great of structures. They don't have a ton of the they don't have a ton of the 1 of 5, 1 of 6s, all those great tournaments, that Underdog has. And so I just like, whatever, if I got to play in a horrible structure tournament, I might as well play in the big boy and try to win $1 million or whatever with it. But anyways, so I was streaming DraftKings draft the first 2 weeks or so that I was streaming. Then I switched over to Underdog. That's why, like, if you look, the original Puppy, I only had like 8 of those in, because like by the time I switched over, the Puppy kind of filled right after that. But I got 71 total regular ones. We ended up doing 37 of the Superflex. We've gotten in 37 of the Eliminators so far. We've gotten in on only 1 sprint, but like I said, if we switch to active, I'm on the clock right now in a couple. Maybe I can make these picks with you guys before I leave, since I'm on the clock. We got a couple poodles. I told y'all I had the 6 sprints. This is kind of a little more than I like, and so that's part of my deal, is like I can't draft quite as much as I want, simply from a time perspective. Like, I have so much going on normally during the days that very rarely do I get a chance to sit down and do a live draft during the day. And I try to have about 10 slow drafts going or so normally at once. If I get close to 14 or 15, I don't like it. I feel like I'm on the clock too much. I'll do it like right now. What do I have? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of them, and it hasn't felt too bad. I did it because I was on vacation and wasn't getting to draft as much as I wanted. And I wanted to get in some more of those poodles and some more of those schnauzers right before they filled. And then, of course, we did the 6 sprints. But yeah, and that's why I said I'm going to do the 2-a-day thing when my wife and the girls go out of town at the end of August. Let's catch up on the chat some. I'm going to make those 2 picks since I got to do it tonight anyways on the slow drafts. And then we'll get out of here. You want to see my Daniel Jones clip? Did we draft him on that team? I forgot. Whatever. We can show you guys even if we didn't. So normally it's a My Guy clip. But I thought it'd be fun today with it being the 4th. I had a little extra time. We were just chilling at the house. And I did when I draft Daniel Jones, I'm just hoping he doesn't do this. That's our Daniel Jones low light clip. We're just hoping that does not happen whenever we have to draft a Daniel Jones team. He wishes his last name was Wave. We like you either way, Vapor. Thanks for stopping by tonight. You've been here dang near all night hanging out with us. I appreciate it. Got my CMC, HN, TMC, Daniel Start, and the Overflow Chalua. Not mad about that. CMC and HN, yeah, that's nice. And then I'm guessing that's Terry McLaurin with Daniels. Yeah, that's a hella start, man, for sure. Check back when this live ends, JT. I'm dropping a name for a deep dive. Yeah, do it. Some guy dropped a name on one of mine today too. So it might take me a couple days to get to it, but don't worry. If you drop a name in there, I will definitely do it. The one guys I'm gonna do Sunday night. I'll probably do whoever you drop Monday night, and then let's look at these slows real quick. So this one was a poodle that we're in, and see, I talk about it all the time, guys. That like part of my strategy this year to make sure I want to be really balanced as far as my builds. Right, you guys know me. I am a player take guy for sure. Like, I'm not afraid to take big stands on guys, but at the same time, I don't want to be too. Last year I was way too hero and zero RB heavy looking back on it. And so part of what I said this year was I'm not going to worry about build structure at all through the first 5 or 6 rounds. I want to just see how my drafts go. If I just each draft pick the best players possible, with some exceptions. I'm not going to take 2 quarterbacks. I'm not going to take, 2 tight ends in the first 6 rounds, probably. I'm not gonna, go 6 wide receivers straight. Although I went 5 wide receivers straight in this one, but especially with running backs, right? We're not gonna start a draft with 4 running backs in a row like this guy here did. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not going CMC, HN, Chase Brown, Cook, and Walker. I'm not starting a draft like that. Unless it's some weird challenge draft or something. Speaking of which, that just reminded me. Sunday night, we're going to do my challenge drafts. I've been owing you guys the challenge draft night because of hitting 100 subs or more. I was kind of waiting until until Underdog dropped these new tournaments for us, because I didn't necessarily want to do a challenge draft in like a pit bull or nothing. But Sunday night, you guys have my word, 10 o'clock. I'm going to put all the challenges that you guys have given me. If you want to add some new challenges, when this video is over, jump back in, leave that challenge. I'll add it to the hat. I'm not going to give myself any heads up. I'm literally going to put all the challenges in a hat. And Sunday night, we will draw them out one at a time so that I don't have any time to plan. Got to do it on the fly. And I'm going to try my damnedest to complete the challenge that you give me, even if the team doesn't turn out that great. But we're on the clock with this one, and we started JJ, and then we took T here, and you guys know I'm not huge on Rice, but it's like now that he's going late second round, sure, when we got to here and all my other guys that I like, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Tyreek Hill, they were all gone. So this is a team that I was okay taking Rice at 27. I'm also not that high on Marv. I don't like Josh Jacobs' playoff schedule at all, so I'm kind of out on him right now. I don't really like JSN. It's more of a Sam Darnold thing. So I thought this was a good team to go ahead and take Rice with. Since we took Rice, we then went ahead here and took Worthy. See if we can't, get Mahomes to maybe fall a little bit later. I don't have very much Mahomes at all. Almost none, I don't think. I might have him in 1 or 2. So since we already had Rice, we figured we'd do that. And then again here, when it got to 51, I just thought Flowers was the best pick on the board over like some of the running backs. So we went Flowers. We have 5 super strong receivers, both the KC guys with Higgins and JJ and Flowers. And now look at that. We get a little bit of a discount on Travion coming back. You can see I wasn't worried about starring guys since it's a slow draft. They're not really my chat or anything. We're going to take Travion here for our first running back. And then we'll probably, when it comes back around at 75, be able to get a guy like Judkins or Swift. Just try to start catching back up at running back. Let's see what we had going on with this Schnauzer. We're sitting at a 1-4-4. We have Hurts, JT, Swift, Jalen Warren, and Scatterboo so far. CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, Pickens, and Olave. Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember. This is the one that I'm trying to set up the Dak thing. So let's look. Do we want to push Dak, or should we just go ahead and get him and call it a day? We're only trying to push him to 124. The 3 hole has Kyler. He took Kyler unstacked. Oh, no, he had McBride. Okay, so he might know what he's doing. And he has outs. Not really left, because he only has Cleveland and Denver, and Bo Nix is off the board by now. Yeah, Bo Nix is off the board. The 1 hole got Burrow. He got Mayfield. You know what? I think with this team, the way I'm setting it up, sometimes I would. Sometimes, like if I looked at this board now, let's say this guy had 2 quarterbacks. This guy maybe only had Baker, but maybe he had some, receivers that kind of pair with quarterbacks later. Maybe this guy had Burrow, but, he's got Reed who he could take Love with. If I felt good about getting Dak to come around again, we would try to push it. But we were already setting it up, so much. We have the Pickens and the Lamb on this team. I think it only makes sense we go ahead and take Dak here for the nice double stack. We have him as our second quarterback behind Hurts for the Dallas game to kind of be killing it this year. Those are my slows, though, that we had going on right now. I'm going to go ahead and call it a night, guys. It's getting late. Tomorrow we got some friends coming over, and I'm cooking some of my famous tacos that I make, though, with I can cook a little bit, you know. Part of being the stay-at-home dad and all, like, I've learned to get pretty good at cooking certain things. I'm not a huge chef or nothing, but I have my things, and I have these certain tacos that I take some beef fajita meat with, you know, skirt steak, and marinate them, season them up a certain way and everything, and cook them on my little grill thing that I have, chop them up nice. We have some family coming over, or not family, some friends coming over tomorrow, so I'll be getting my grub on. Let me see here. What are we going to do? Go to that. Make sure we don't miss any of you guys' chat. I really appreciate everybody hanging out with me tonight. Sunday night, we're going to do the challenge draft. Make sure you're here. You know what time. 10 o'clock. That's when we roll, like always. Leave a comment when the video's over if you want to add any new challenges, or if you have a deep dive you want me to do in the future. It's been fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good night.
But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands up